Peace, HHDG. We're on another episode of HHDG Media podcast. And as always, big shout out to everyone that continuously tuning in through our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook group, HHDG, which stands for Hip Hop Discussion Group. As you can see on our bottom banner, you can go to our website, hhdgmedia.com, for our latest music that's out there, as well as previous written interviews, our merchandise, and upcoming events. This is always made possible through our 5-owner company, HHDG Media Inc., which is Rock Vader KB, myself, Wiki, Skelly Top, T Smith, and also the Mayor. For tonight, we have two guests who I believe set their own trends. And MC and a producer, consistent in both aspects, have a catalog that I would say if you're not in tune with them, you definitely need to check them out. I've heard countless amount of production that's, still to this day amazes me and has me head nodding, creating cinematic feels, ill obscure themes from TV shows, movies, pretty much creating his own cinema in my aspect with the production. And he's worked with many MCs, from more recently Rim, from the Villains, as well as UFO Feeve, and people like Vic Spencer. So many more that we can dive into, but we can't go into every single one. And on the lyrical end, we have an artist who is definitely a student of hip hop. You can tell in the structure of his bars, the content that he speaks of through his life, and just the way he has the ability to not be so typical in what he's talking about, but also how he gives his perspective on countless amount of things. And, life can give us so many different aspects that if you really want to tune into an artist, sometimes if you're really paying attention to the lyrics, you know more about them. You know what they've gone through or what they are going through. And this MC definitely does that with his production. And I would have to say, listening to his music for quite some time now, I'm still impressed. And he likes to definitely work with one producer at a time for each project. And we'll dive in and find out, why he does that, because it's perfect formula, if you listen to his catalog. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce, coming from Canada, Words. Peace.
What's good, bro?
How you doing?
Well, I'm good, man. I'm good. Just been chilling in the backstage area waiting to get brought out. So much love and thanks for having me and speaking so highly of me as an MC. Because that's at the end of the day, man, when you speak of people that are students of hip hop or who come from the culture, anybody who does the props and the respect is being regarded as, effectively as a high caliber or top tier MC. That's the goal, to have your peers and the people that you work with or you work around or you admire and look up to tell you that that you've hit a level, or you're true to your craft, or you're true to the culture. And so I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It means a lot. That's what we really
Appreciate
strive
that.
for. Real MCs strive for that. That's what we want to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also coming in from Pennsylvania, Vanderslice.
Good evening. Good evening.
Peace.
How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing tonight?
I would I don't want to denigrate whoever did the theme music, but can I donate a beat to do the theme music? It's you can't be bringing me out to that shit. You need something powerful, man.
He just wants a Monday. He wants to come out like it's Monday Night Raw, bro. He's Monday Night Raw tonight, so he's already in the
Yep.
mode, bro. He's got his mask out and everything.
He's in that zone already. He's ready for it.
Yo, he's ready to pile drive the hoe who stole his webcam, man. He's about to go on a tirade, dog.
But I will totally donate because I'm a team guy.
But yo, mad love to Vanderslice. What's up, bro? How you doing,
Not
homie?
much. Had a steak for lunch. Got Monday Night Raw. Dude, I forget. Dude, I was when you tweeted me at like 6 o'clock. I looked at my phone. I was like, damn. I was ready to take a nap. I was like, you know what? Let me
Yo,
wake up, get back on my computer, and make it happen. That's
yeah,
that's what I do. I show up.
that's what's up, man.
I'm reliable. You know what I'm saying? In a world where nobody's reliable, I try to be as reliable. It's like one of my staples.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on for the first time in the whole run after this album a little bit on the like needed an artistic break from shit. I've been trying to break from the music, from hip hop, from writing and that whole thing. So it's like, you know, it's been difficult still, not difficult, but it's been interesting and new trying to like keep some of the stuff I have going on moving, people I'm working with, and of course, this interview and stuff all at the same time. There's a
Uh-huh.
level of like, man, and you know, that's from if people have heard the album, then maybe they'll have a better understanding of why at the end of it I was so like, man, I need to recharge, and if they don't, hopefully they know by the end of the interview, because it was a special album, and I hope we get a chance to talk about that.
Definitely. And the album that we are talking about is what the two of them collaborate on, The Path of Broken Glass, which came out on May 6th. And Vanderslice, one of your earlier projects that I remember, Everything's Awesome, also
Yeah.
dropped on May 6th.
Yes, it did. That was the debut.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
you hit
was,
me.
it had Freddie Gibbs on it. Evidence. My boy A War. Matthew Ragazzino.
Yep.
It was, you know what I mean?
Self-titled.
Self-titled. Apathy. My boy Mercules, who's like world famous now. That was my first Canadian connection. And,
Word. Shout
I
out
love,
to
I mean, that record
shout
is
out
near and dear
Merrick,
to
man.
me.
Yeah, that's it. I've worked with a lot of guys on the list you just named, Van, but Merck, I've known him a really, really long time. We know each other on a personal level, so
Yeah, he's great.
it's wild to see where he's gone,
Dude,
knowing where he started with it and how serious he took it.
yeah,
He was one of those dudes who took it very seriously from the jump. You know what I mean? He was younger than us, and we used to wait outside the battles. This is a true story, man. When I lived in Vancouver, and he went by the name Merc
Merc
Mikes.
Mikes. Yeah.
Merc Mikes. And he was young. He's like maybe 15, 16. He used to wait out front of the battles. And we used to do this battle series called Rent Money. And that was what it was. It's like battling to pay your rent, give you enough money to pay your rent type shit.
Oh, shit.
And
Okay.
he would wait out front because he wasn't allowed in. And he would ask who won the rounds. And he would be outside ready to battle everybody. And he would just,
Oh,
that's
okay.
how he started to get his name out there, was just showing up at grown shows and waiting outside until people came out to smoke and being like, yo, what's up? Who wants it? And we'd all just have crazy ciphers, man. And he comes from honest beginnings. So I mean, he's one of those few guys I can say he built himself from fucking nothing. That guy,
Nothing. Yeah,
from
dude.
nothing,
And
literally.
he's a solid human being, man. Merc's a nice guy, dude. He's like, we were friends, man. Yeah, dude, and I mean, he's legit famous. Like, legit, it's fucking crazy. He's like hanging out with Shaq and shit.
Dude, he's so
Crazy.
famous to the point where I used to be able to just go to his shows and be like, yo, go tell Merc that Words is here. And he'd go up, yo, 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 yeah, he's upstairs chilling, go see him. But now they're like, who? Are you on the list? And
Yeah,
I'm
them
just
days are
like,
over.
it's a whole different ball game, man. So, and it's
And
kind
it's
of like
not, and it's nothing malicious because everything. If I call him right now, he'll pick the phone up.
he's a good
That's
guy.
what, you know what I'm saying. Like, he ain't never stunted on me, but like, yeah, you go to a show, you're not really dealing with his people. You're dealing with a venue.
Right. And
Right,
that's
right.
you know what, man? It's funny because I came up doing my thing back in the day when Drake was kind of getting his rise. And I knew people who knew him back in the day, and it doesn't matter about the level of what people would say and this and that, but you had a lot of people who spoke highly of him because of course they were around as he was building up to his thing. And I always wonder what that would be like to like know somebody, someone that who goes to that, rises to that level. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude performed at the Rogers Center with Snoop Dogg. Like, that's crazy shit that, you know, I'm sorry, only the smallest percentage of artists ever get to really experience that. So, it's always blessed to see not only a fellow Canadian, but somebody that I grew up with. And at one point, he fucking, looked up to me as an MC, and now he's doing fucking his own crazy shit, and everybody's trying to ascend to what he's gotten to. So it's a beautiful thing, and it goes to show that you never know where this shit is going to take you. You
That's
really
true.
don't.
Yeah,
And people ask why a lot of us you see in this wave, right? We have a lot of these guys are older guys, man. A lot of us are, in late guys in their late 30s all the way into their early 50s now, still kind of living the culture. And people ask, like, why you still do it, and it's like, of course we do it because we love it, but it's because you just never know what opportunity you might just be this far away from if you stop doing it. You don't know. Like, you could be this far away from that golden opportunity that was going to take you somewhere that can feed your family for the next 10 years. You know what I
right.
mean? And
Yeah,
so it's like that's a drive I think a lot of people can't understand, to take it to the push it to the limit and ride it till the wheels fall off, because you never know where it's going to take you, man. It's a crazy journey.
yeah,
Yeah, for me, it's always a labor of love, man. Like even I would make music with zero listeners. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. Like
Some
most
days
of
I
the
feel
music,
like we do make music with zero
yeah.
listeners.
You know what I'm saying? It's like most of the beats I make, people never hear. You know what I mean? Like I make beats every day, so it's like most of the stuff
You only
is
let
just
people hear
sitting.
them twice a month, though.
Yeah, when I track them out, everybody else, you get an Instagram preview, and that's it.
Yeah, word, man.
that's
So,
dope.
but yeah, thanks for having us, man. It obviously shows a lot about the album for you to want to have us both on at the same time to talk, right? The producer
Absolutely.
and MC duo to have a full on discussion. So I'd love to dive into that and get your feedback on what you thought of it and what brought you to want to bring us on. I guess because I'm just fucking words from Canada.
Nah, I say all the time, talent speaks for itself, but how much effort are you putting into your talent to be known? And you are an example of that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be able to speak with you, not just because of the new album, but also, learn more about your come up. You just spoke about Mercurial's grind of standing outside like that. You know, you could tell us a little bit about, your early grind as well too, to how far it's been, and what were those stepping stones early on.
I mean, like I came up, I was always in trouble with the police. So I was a little criminal kid. So I was locked up a lot, like a lot. I mean, pretty much my whole teenagehood I was locked up. And I was in some pretty serious places with some serious people. And I always kind of did this I used to freestyle and stuff back around, but I didn't really know anyone that was in the, let's call it my real world life
Hmm.
that was into that kind of shit. But when I was inside, I was around so many different people from so many different cities and areas that kind of clicked. And I started freestyling with guys in there. And I remember I was in one spot. It was what would be called a secure young youth offender facility, but it's a higher security one, like a high security one called the secure custody. And there were some guys that they were serious dudes. They were the kind of guys who were in for the things that, you saw in the movies and shit like that. They're pretty
Hmm.
serious dudes. And they were always freestyling in the corner. And I wanted to go over. And my one little homie's like, go, man, just go. Just show him. You can rap. Go fucking do it. And I went over, man, and I stood there and I waited my turn, and everybody's giving me the kind of cockeyed look, like, yo, what this little skinny ass white boy doing? I was a little tiny kid back then, and I waited my turn and I just let it go, and I blew these guys' fucking mind. And one of them pulled me aside and was like you no fucking with you. You're dope at this. Like, you shouldn't be here because you're dope. And we wrote some songs and we did this and that, but
Right.
that changed the game for me, because it was like somebody that had no reason, who came from kind of a lifestyle at the time. I was, glorifying. I was, watching being glorified and trying to emulate myself. Um, through the people I hung around with, the crowd I kept, and of course always being incarcerated. But to have him tell me that changed the game. And I started doing it more and more, and I started going places and being known as the guy who was the battle rapper in the place. And if you wanted, I was taking guys meals for weeks, battling for guys meals and shit. Like, some guy, it was crazy. It was a wild time. Then that's how I did it all for 5 years. And then I finished the 22-month bid, and I got out. I was already 18 at the time, and I moved to a different city, and just started seeking people out. And through battling and open mics, met people, and the whole journey kind of went from there, where I realized this is what I'm doing, and I just accepted it. And it's since then, it's been, never been back. I haven't gone back. Since 2003 was the last time I did time. I did one time as an adult, and then that was it. I did music full time and tried to take it as far as I could go with it. And that's really where it started, man. It was a group of guys in a jail place that told me I was good enough to do it, and that was kind of what made me. I was like, all right, if these guys say I can do it, then I'm gonna go see where it can go. And
Where it can go, yeah.
that was it. So I
Respect. Yeah.
pretty wild beginnings. Some people are really taken aback when I tell them that where I learned to rap and where I got into it and where I earned my first battle titles. It was like Barton Street Detention Center battle champion. You know what I mean, type shit. So it was a crazy time, man. But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
It came
That's
from an
good.
honest place, and a lot of MCs learned to rap, especially maybe over the last while, but they learned to rap kind of emulating other people. And I'm one of the few I feel I got to come up really just being in the thick of it. I was with the Wolves, bro. Like, a lot of I'm not trying to glorify how they all went. There's a lot of fights, there was a lot of violent
Yeah, yeah,
situations that erupted
yeah.
over being incarcerated and battling and saying horrible things to each other to try and, as a form of gambling and competitive sport.
I
Um,
get that.
but I definitely came from a place where, you had to earn your spot, and it was taken very seriously. And if you step the wrong way, something really bad could happen to you. And I watch bad things happen to people for stepping the wrong way. So I feel like I come from a really honest place of hip hop where it was built in struggle and built in pain, because I was always in jail, man. You know what I mean? I have cellmates like mad at me because I'd be up rapping at 4 a.m. and shit, writing rhymes and shut the fuck up, go to sleep, trying to, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, man, it was. But I wouldn't trade that shit for anything, because I think you talked about the how you heard my rhymes and just kind of the way you perceive them, and that's, I think they are what they are, and they're felt the way they're felt because they come from a really authentic place. I don't lie in my music. I don't say I did things I didn't do. I don't say I live a way that I live that I don't. And I don't say I grow up a way that I didn't grow up. So, and I'm glad people, I've had other people say the same thing, that my music comes out very authentic, and that's all an artist can really ask for, is to be felt beyond just heard. Where people
Right.
are like, no, I
Exactly.
feel you. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. And not too many people could say that their inspiration and started rhyming came from that environment. So, big salute to you, because you still here to speak on it yourself.
Yeah, I actually went back to a lot of the places I did time in when I was a youth. I went back to those places as an adult. I've gone to martial arts and stuff about, 15, 16 years ago. Started
Mhm.
going back into those same places and working with kids, and, sitting them down and being like, dude,
That's great.
I sat in that chair right there, man. I was in this room. I did all these things you're doing. Um, and when I was coming up, we had all these, I don't know, guys coming in telling us how Jesus saved them and everything all the time. It was never just an authentic human being coming in and saying, yo, man, I escaped this, the claws of this, and you can do better. So, I try and be that. And, I've had a couple of good, decent success stories with some kids I worked with, and I hope they're still doing okay now. I mean, I haven't talked to them in a while, but it's like trying to take that negativity and go back and and be able to make something out of it, because like, you know
Yeah,
that's
because
all we can really do, is try and make up for some of the past we might have strayed off of when we were younger, and or learning lessons ourselves, and try and take the lessons we learned and hopefully help other people not make those same mistakes, because the
right.
world's a crazy place these days, man.
Yeah.
We don't need any more misguided youth.
And it's great to hear you being that driven to try and help others out, because a lot of it is not from people who are just educated and can tell you, oh, you should do this or you shouldn't do that. You're speaking from experience, and when people hear that experience, that opens their ears and their mind more to, I need I need a change.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what? I mean, in like anything, you mentioned the people who kind of learn from a book, and that's where their advice comes from, what they learned in school. And um, kids, especially teenagers, kids, especially teens who've come up hard, they can smell bullshit a mile away. And on that regard, I even had my own trials and tribulations doing it, because the people that went to school and paid a lot of money for their education to think that they know what they're talking about don't like it when people who used to be hoodlums themselves or used to be
Mhm.
criminals themselves come back and are able to just take nothing but raw experience and use it effectively to help the very people that they're trying to make money off of. Like, I never did it as a job, I did it as my on my own. um and that was another part of how the kids I was working with separated me from the bullshit, because I wasn't there for a paycheck or anything. I was just there because like I said, I wish someone had to come along maybe and help guide me a little more. I just had a lot of guys, and when you're a teenager incarcerated, you don't want to hear about Jesus and being saved by God. You know what I mean? That's not what you're trying
Yeah,
to listen to. And that's what it was always about. So, just kind of tuned all that stuff out. So, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as an artist, we're trying to use whatever pain we've, at least from my perspective, I'm not trying to speak on every artist who exists, but from my perspective, being the type of artist I am, I like to use the pain or suffering, struggle, lessons learned, mistakes made where you had to learn lessons hard, to try and inspire people through music, to paint pictures through the music, to maybe relate to people through the music where they can say, yo, I've been through that shit, or that's how I feel about that.
yeah,
um and that applies, that goes for all matters of life. We're all trying to connect with like-minded humans and use our experiences to hopefully help others and pay it forward, essentially.
I agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
Or
Now, was Welcome to Wankerville your debut?
no, no, no,
No, well,
that was uh that was my first solo album. That was my first real solo album that I'd done since a fully independent release that I did in 2004. But that was before social media, it was before pretty much the internet was doing anything of any consequence. Um, so I mean, yeah, I was in a duo called Words and Rhymes for 6 or 7 years. Toured Europe, did a bunch of stuff with Apathy, self-titled, a lot of Army of Pharaohs guys, a lot of different people across Canada, and toured. um, and we made some music together. And then when that we decided we weren't going to do that anymore, then I came out with the Welcome to Wankerville in 2014.
okay.
And that title is like, I regret the title. I was working with a lot of Brits at the time. It's produced by a lot of the beats are produced by this dude Jay Min, who's from England, and him and I were conversing a lot, and it seemed like a good title at the time. It's the only title of any album I've ever put out where I was like, yo, oh man, what the were you thinking when you titled that? It sounds like a name of a song, not a name of a record. But it was actually a successful record, like for what how it came out, the way it came out, the touring I did because of it. It was pretty successful in the underground of Canada, man. It was in partner with a shady company that ended up owing a lot of people a lot of money, a
Oh
lot of
man,
yeah, a lot of UFC fighters. They owed like millions. We're talking millions of dollars. So, they ended up owing me like I think it was 11 G's. A company called Fear the Fighter. They were an up and coming, fight brand. Came up in the latter years of UFC, allowing companies to, sponsor on fighter shorts and stuff like that. And because of the Muay Thai that I did, the martial arts, and I was fighting at the time. Um, they partnered with me, and they were partnered with Michael Bisping, Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar, what's his name, Joe Lawzone, I think is his name, a bunch of well-known UFC fighters, um, and they ended up ripping everybody off, owed all of us money, so they owed me like 11 G's, and I was on like the very bottom of that level. So um, after that happened, I got, you know what I mean? Sometimes like something happens that just crushes your whole shit. And
Yeah.
I kind of stepped back after that. Things weren't. That was the last album I really put like major effort into pushing and touring on, and getting heard until I put out the No Hooks Just Elbows record with Vic
Big
Grimes,
crime. Yeah.
which would have been 8 years later. So yeah, it's a listen. Is Van still in the conversation? What's good, Van?
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
know, bro.
I'm about to bring him in right now.
Okay, word,
I
word.
was actually waiting for him to throw in a joke right there with the whole wanker
Mm.
thing because
No,
you
I'm listening to the autobiography of words here. It has page 1 through 600 right there.
Yo, bro, that's only page 1 through 20, but there's 580 more to
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Anyway,
Don't worry about
that's
me.
it.
I don't have anything anywhere near that poignant. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't. I wasn't ready to dive that far back, so I
it's
was
all
like,
good.
I was winging that whole shit there, how to explain it
Hey,
all, man.
it's all good.
So I
Yeah,
appreciate the patience, Van. I appreciate everybody for listening, who's checking it out, and
that's
word
the
up.
insight that we appreciate. But when you mentioned that there was UK artists, I mean producers on that project and the whole wanker, it kind of makes sense to the connection.
Yeah, yeah. I just I maybe someone should have. Listen. There's one thing that you realize in hindsight as an artist, and I'm sure Van can attest to this as well. Sometimes people don't give you their honest opinion about things. This is why I love Van, and making this album was such a good experience with him, The Path of Broken Glass. And I've commented to him a couple of times because he tells me every time if he's not with it, or it could be better, or he's just not feeling it. Nah, that's not it, and that's how we're supposed to act. So with that's how we're supposed to be when working with each other. But with the Wankerville album, Welcome to Wankerville, I'm like, nobody stopped me and was like, yo, words, like maybe that's not the one. No, not one person heard me say that was what I was gonna name the album, and not one person was like, yeah, bro, maybe sleep on that one. You know, there's verses I've done. There's a lot of times. So, any advice to people, working with artists and stuff in the future, just be honest with them, man. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's
The,
the problem with the music industry.
there's so much of it. There's so much of it, man.
And this is why I love Vanderslice's his personality because you're a funny guy and you're sharp and you're always to the point. And just like Word said, you're gonna give it to the person 100% honesty all the time.
Yeah, and also not to just, go backwards, but there's a tie in. Because he has a record called Four Touchdowns in One Game, and Peg Bundy's family is from Wanker County.
Oh, bro, from Lancaster County, man. I didn't even fucking put that together, man. See, and you're telling me he's sharp. You're like, yo, Vanderslice is really sharp. And then he literally comes in with a fucking
Uh-huh.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
trying
I
to
didn't
help
even
you out.
catch that. I made the album and I didn't even catch that one.
Because, dude, I watch Married with Children, like, I don't know, it's on Pluto TV. I watch it every day at some point. It's
Oh,
great. It
I
holds
have them
up.
all on DVD, bro.
It holds up marvelously.
Yo,
Yeah, for those who don't know, Words
it
doesn't
aged so
stream.
well.
He doesn't stream anything. Like, he's just like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm gonna go buy the VHS.
Legit, man. Legit, legit, legit. Because I was telling him that I I don't stream music. I just buy CDs and stuff. Like, and if I
mhm.
like shows, I just buy the show. And because everybody streams everything and everybody thinks that's the cool thing to do, I buy like some awesome shit for like super cheap, man. Because everybody's just like, oh man, I got Netflix and Prime and Crave and all this stuff, so they sell
Yep.
all their shit off. And I'm like, yo, bring it over here, because one day the grid will go down and I'll be sitting here
I
as long
say
as I have
this all the time.
electricity. As long as I have electricity, I can watch all my favorite shit. Everybody
Yep.
else is gonna be like, my Netflix isn't working today.
Look, look, I still have a working VCR, a
Yes,
dual
my guy.
recorded cassette deck. I have I used to have a laser disc player. I had to throw that shit
Yo,
out because there was no way
I
getting that shit
never got to
recorded.
have one of those, man. Those were expensive when
Yeah, that were
back when I
crazy
still needed my
expensive.
Yeah,
parents to buy me shit. Like I
yeah.
still need yo, mom, dad. You know what you really need right now? You
The
guys should
laser.
get a laser disc player. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard they're the best. I heard they're gonna phase out VHS entirely. I think they lasted like 2 years or something, and then DVDs came out, and they were like, "Get out of these fucking
Yep.
things out of here." That's crazy. A laser disc player, man. Wow. I
Yeah,
haven't
man.
heard that shit in a minute, man. It's
What's your
like having
favorite movie on Laserdisc?
What's that?
I don't know what movies they had
I
on.
said, what's your favorite movie on Laserdisc?
Oh, it was a sci-fi film. I'm trying to remember the name of it again. Shit, it's gonna come to me.
Yeah, that's
Well,
sci-fi film.
because I'm saying, because it's like, Laserdisc movies were hard to find. Like you'd
Yeah,
find more imports than you would, you're not gonna find Big Trouble in Little China on Laserdisc, but you'll find some wild like Japanese shit that nobody's ever
yep.
seen.
I think I remember seeing Akira on fucking laser disc.
Yeah, see, so
Wow.
exact.
You know what I mean? I remember seeing that because it was bigger. It looked so much. The cover looked so much cooler. You have the VHS that's like this, but then on the laser disc, they were like the size of a fucking vinyl record. You know?
This were.
Yep.
So it was like big and more bold. And I remember being like, man, I need these so bad. But I mean, whatever. Fucking, I was poor and shit. So we got VHS. Even when DVDs came out, it was years until I stopped watching those. I was like, you guys want to come to my house, but we have to rewind the movie first. Have
Yep.
my movies say please be kind rewind on the back of them.
Yeah, remember when the rental stores used to charge you for not rewinding the tapes?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, 2 hours.
They did that shit right to the end, man. They rode that fucking policy till the wheels fell off, man. Straight. I think it was the rewind fees that kept half the video stores
Oh
open for
hell
the
yeah.
last fucking couple years before they closed down.
Well, I mean,
They were
what kind
just
of
living
piece of
off the
shit?
feeds, man.
I'm saying, what kind of piece of shit doesn't rewind the tape? That's crazy.
That's like, listen, man. It's like, what kind of piece of shit pisses on the seat in a public bathroom?
That's what I'm saying. Same
Weird,
type of
dude.
person.
Yeah, yeah,
Just weird shit. You know,
yeah.
like it's weird, man. Because sometimes I'll go to like a bar full of, I mean, back in the day, like, but when I go to bars and you'd go somewhere, you'd be in a bar that's full of just what would be considered, degenerate types, and the bathroom's immaculate. And then you go to some bathroom where it's like, you got to wear like a suit and tie event, and the bathroom looks like it's a fucking like a frat boy party bathroom and shit. You know what I mean? It's just like, what kind of human beings conduct themselves like this? Same people who don't rewind movies back in the
Yeah.
day, man. You know? Or people who don't return the shopping carts to the cart thing and they just
Oh
leave
yeah,
it in the
yeah,
middle of the parking lot.
yeah,
Shit, man.
yeah. I
This,
remember
this,
my pops. He actually had a standalone rewinder.
Hey, I remember them joints. Yeah.
just one video at a time, or could you
Yep.
put in
No, one
multiple
video at a time. You just
VHSs?
pop it in, put it down, and start rewinding the tape.
Yeah,
Common courtesy is what binds us as a society, man. If I hold the door for somebody and they don't thank me, I call them a cunt, like as loud as I could possibly.
yeah,
Like,
me too, me too. Me too.
like I'm
Especially
looking,
when
I'm
they
looking
look
for a
you in the
fuck.
face. That's the worst one. When they look at you and they're acknowledging that they are recognizing you're holding the door open
But
for
they
them,
don't
and they
give a
just
shit.
keep going. They just like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're in New York. It's like, that shit's crazy.
Listen, people think Canada is this nice place full of nice fucking people, and it's not. Like there's nice people that
Let us
exist,
know.
and people might not say the loud, they don't say the soft part out loud all the time, but like people walk by like angry, miserable, just like any other major city in the U.S. where you have people that are doing nothing but working themselves into a nub to pay incredible bills that they can't afford, to pay for stuff that they got on credit that they can't afford, the same thing. So I mean, it's the same shit. Canada's not this land of people that are all polite to each other all the time. That's a guise people act behind. But in general, people are pretty shitty to each other.
Yeah.
We got tent cities everywhere. Every city you go to in Canada, you can't go 10 blocks without seeing fucking homeless encampment full of tents and can piss bottles and shit.
In the mean streets of Manitoba.
Yo, dude, Winnipeg, Manitoba has the highest crime rate of the entire country.
Listen,
Really.
and the
Swear,
Jets just
I
lost.
swear, man. Winnipeg,
Wow.
Manitoba, the murder capital of the fucking country.
Damn.
Because
What's his
so
name?
much shit, so much shit. Because there's,
Craft goes
yo,
from that
yo,
area.
dude, we have a lot. So Canada's history is rooted a lot in segregating the natives. So a lot of fucking crime and a lot of like the worst place are places with high concentrations of segregated, and there's some gang like hardcore areas
Mm.
where and the country ignores them and pretends they don't exist. There's like entire native reserves without running water that the government just doesn't even care about. It's wild over here. But the violence is serious. I mean, you're talking about high levels of poverty and high levels of abandonment from the entire system, with limited job opportunities in a cold place that gets to be like minus 40 in the wintertime. There's a lot of violence, man, a lot of shit. And, you
Well,
know,
the media is doing a good job up there because I didn't know about that.
Oh
No.
yeah, I mean most of Canada doesn't know about it. That's the interesting part because Canada's good at making it. I feel like America thrives on a lot of the aggressive media, where Canada's like cuck media. It's hiding the problems and focusing on things that aren't real, like, you know what I mean. But we have a heavy opiate problem, like the homelessness, drug addiction problem in any major city. Even a medium-sized major city in Canada is crazy. Rental prices are almost impossible. It's a rough place. So I mean,
Mm.
and now there's like, there's talks of the 51st state or whatever. And I mean, I'm not trying to get into the debate, but that's how crooked the country is. There's people who are all right with that and think that that's a solution because it's
That's
gotten so
right. We're coming up there. Me and Trump, we're coming.
I only want to, I mean, I'm not allowed in the United States because of my background, because my
I'm not allowed in Canada.
Well, see,
Yeah,
for
Damn.
him and I for the same reason.
yeah,
So I
pretty
can't go
much.
there, he can't come here. So that
Mhm.
way, at least if it became if Canadians became officially American, then I could see all the American
You know that.
MCs I've been working with for 20 years and haven't been able to fucking hang out with them because I can't
Damn,
cross the border.
that's fucking crazy.
Yo,
Yeah.
I remember I had Chief Kamachi up here, and him and I were doing a string of shows back in like 2011 or something. And he came up here and him and I were kicking it around for the day. And he's like, yo, he's like, I've never seen so many police. They're everywhere, cops everywhere. And he was blown away with how expensive things were and how many police there were everywhere. And he's coming from Philly. He's like, man, how do you guys have this many cops up here? They're fucking everywhere. Every 2 minutes, I'm seeing a new cruiser. I'm seeing, you know what I mean? Um, so it's not the way it's painted in movies and shit up here.
Right,
So I
right.
mean,
I got you.
yeah.
Vanderslice, how was your living conditions?
Well, growing up,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it was shit, man. It was ass. Like my fucking mom was on Section 8. I lived all over Pennsylvania. I was in 7 different grade schools by the time I was 10. So, like, it was like gladiator school, bro. Like,
Your
I had a
word.
brother who was 3 years older than me. That was like basically a professional athlete,
Hmm.
and he got killed by the police in '96. He was only 20. My mom's died from cancer in '95. She was only 35. So I was like, I live with my grandparents. My grandparents saved my life. You know what I'm
Word
saying?
up.
But it was not easy, man. 'Cause my pops was fucked up. My pops is cool. Like me and my pops are cool now, but I mean, yo, for many, 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 many years, I didn't fuck with him at all. So it's like,
That's where
it's
the
like,
pain comes from, bro. Just the
yeah.
Yeah,
artistic, the expression. You know what I mean?
definitely.
Yeah, and like I started making beats. I mean, I tried everything. I won a breakdancing contest when I was in second grade. I was a beast. That was in like '86,
What was your
maybe a little early.
breakdancer name? What was your
Uh-huh.
breakdancer name, bro?
I was just, I don't think we went that far.
Okay,
Because I mean,
okay.
in that, I was just Eric Vanderslice. I never had a stage name. Never.
Okay.
I was always Vanderslice. I mean, listen, I tried to rap. I had a terrible rapper name. I had a bunch of them. I was Soundbite.
Oh
But
shit.
but I spelled it Bite, like not like a, you know what I mean. And then
Uh-huh.
the Phoenix Villains were me and my cousin because we're from Phoenix Hill, PA.
Uh-huh.
And then I was just like, man, fuck that. I'm just gonna be Vanderslice, man. Like my name is my name. It's who I am.
Got you. Got
Yo,
you.
I first heard Vanderslice's name mentioned to me
Hmm.
in like 2000, I don't know, 5, maybe 2006. And a homie of mine who was big on like message boards, the hip hop message boards, he's like, yo, man, words. this fucking guy. You gotta hear this guy Vanderslice. He's got his style and your style would go so well together because he's all into the, this was the D Block Dipset days and shit. When that's what was popular. A lot of
Okay.
progressive rock flips and you know. So that was the first time I heard this guy's name. So I mean, obviously, it started just sticking out over the years as I would see it, show up and see different songs. I mean, he did that record with Diabolic, and he's done a lot of work with a lot of really dope dudes. So it's like to be able to connect with a producer that I not only like fuck with his music, but he's also like someone who's kind of been on my radar for such a long time that I
Yeah.
wanted to connect with. So it was
Hmm.
really wild. And then fucking like 2 days or like 2 minutes after this guy posts up promotion of our album, the guy who first ever told me about him started following me on Instagram. Like caught it
Wow.
like, oh shit, words is actually you know what I mean? Finally did that. So that was interesting. But yeah,
Yeah, and I
man.
mean back then, I mean, yeah, 2002. I mean, that had to be like Vinny Paz days, because like I got lucky, man. Like my boy,
AOP.
my boy
Yeah.
DJ Primetime had a radio show, and the anniversary, he brought Vinny, Kamachi, Reef, and I think Planet was there, Matter Space,
Yeah, yeah.
and he
Oh,
just wanted me to rock beats, and I was like, man, I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. I mean, I've always had, I had a lot of confidence in my beats, but I never let anybody hear anything
mm,
for years. Like I started making beats in '99. I don't think I let anybody hear anything until like '03, '04, like 4 or 5 years in. Because listen, man,
Yeah.
back then, man, you only got one shot. If you
You only got
posted
one
on some
chance to blow,
garbage,
bro.
if you
You only got
posted
one
some
shot to blow.
garbage, it was over. You were cooked. You only had one chance to make a real first impression. And
Because there
I
was
used to
nothing for
go.
anybody else to go on, man.
No,
Because
I used to
people didn't
go.
have a whole page of your shit to
Yeah,
look at and whatever. It was like,
no, it was MySpace wasn't even a thing. This is pre
yeah,
MySpace everything.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
used to I
yeah.
used to put beats on mini discs. I had a mini disc player and
nice.
cassettes. Like I had beat tapes, real beat tapes. I used to go digging for records with Jay Zone. He was like, he's a dear friend of mine, man, and because like I'll say this much, man, none of the OGs, like nobody ever showed me how to do shit like that. Like lend a helping hand to the next generation. That wasn't a thing back then either. You had to figure everything out on your own.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah. There was no rap tutorial school for any of
no,
us to go
No
to or
YouTube,
anything.
none of
You
that.
either
Yeah.
had it or you didn't. That
yeah,
was
that's
it. That was the fucking bar, man. You either had it or you didn't. No one wanted to hear your story about how you're experimenting or it's art or it's blah blah
nah.
blah.
They
It
didn't
was
give a
you're
fuck,
either
Just gotta
dope or you
go.
weren't. That
and
was
it
it.
took
There,
and
it
it
was
took
the people's
years.
court, man. The people's court.
Yeah, and it took years. So, I went up there. I was like, yeah, I'll play my beats for those guys, no problem. And I played like 3 or 4 joints in a row, and Vinny picked all four. And I was like, well, fuck it, give me your number, man, let's go.
Nice.
And, the first real rap check I ever got was from Vinny, man. So I'm forever grateful for that shit. Like, because that just set it off. And it's like, I knew Apathy before then. Like, I knew a bunch of guys before then, but like, I never, like I said, I knew Self. Like, I never sent beats to any of these guys. Because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be razor sharp. So if I send something to them, it's like, yo, this shit right here is crazy. And it's like, my contemporaries were not message board guys. Like my contemporaries are all like super duper successful producers. Like Frank Dukes is one of my closer friends back in the day.
But
You know what I'm saying? Like Jake one, I talk to Jake all the time. It's just weird, man. Like I never pursued it professionally. That's my fucking fault. Because I was always in the streets, like, it's be basically the same story. I fucking did jail time on some bullshit here and there. And it's just like, I was getting so much bread in the street that I didn't have to rely on music. I didn't have to rely on it to survive. So I never put that type of effort in, man. I'd be like making beats on a Tuesday night, like, yeah, I'm just chilling. I ain't got nothing to do tomorrow. And it's like then you see the guys that had the need to succeed, so they pushed it a lot farther than I ever did. Because I was just cool. Like I would go do a battle with like the Red Bull Big Tune, that type of shit. And I would just be like, yeah, I'm cool just being in front of 1,000 people. I would just bring stuff that nobody ever heard. I didn't care whether we won or not. I didn't give a fuck. Like That's, I mean, I won every single battle I was ever in,
Right.
except for the
I
Red Bull
get that.
Pit too. So I mean, it's not. And then, like, I mean, I started taking it a little more serious, and I mean, from 2008 to 2014, I lived off of music. So I mean, like I said, like when when we put out Everything's Awesome, like everything was independent. There's not even a barcode on that record. I pressed the wax myself. I got all the features myself. There's no licensing, none of that shit. I did everything with brown paper bags. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then I worked at Rock Marciano when nobody was working with him. Like we dropped a joint called Firepower in like 2007. Twin Gambino. That was the B side of that. I worked with like Unpacino and Hard White because I wanted to work with Mob Deep. I worked with Prodigy like right before he passed away. You know, Ghostface, Styles P, Jadakiss, Scarface, Evidence, Slug, Blueprint. Shout the Blueprint. I tried to bridge a gap between getting people that were major. Like, I did a joint with OT the Real and Beanie Siegel. That was like another bucket list. And then I'd try to go back and grab something independent. Like, my favorite rapper of all time was Percy P. So, like, even if people weren't fans of either or, if they were fans of me, they'd get both flavors. And that's what I was aiming for pretty much every record I've ever done.
That's a good look for you
and that
too.
and and that's in addition to working with my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like I consider Words a friend of mine. UFO Thieves family, my man. Like A War. Like even if guys aren't setting the world on fire, like Verb Tech is one of my closest friends, man. Like I don't care. Like yo, go play the record from somebody that's never heard it. It holds up. So like I stand by everything we've ever done, whether it went fucking platinum or we sold zero records. I don't really care. You know what I'm
That's what
saying?
makes
Like
you.
I'm
That's what makes you a stand-up guy, though, my bro. Is let me tell you, is so I talk about how Vanderslice is definitely the guy whose name rang the most bells when I mention it because of his catalog and what he's been able to accomplish.
Very true.
But I've also worked with so many other producers. You know what I mean? And Vanderslice having been someone who has such a more top shelf catalog of his bodies of work and where it's gone and who has recognized it and wanted to be a part of it, you would think that he would be the one with the most incentivization by views or monetization or what he might see and how far the record might go based off of the artist that he's working with. And he didn't take that approach. That's not how he is. We made great music and we did what we meant to do with it and sell our copies on bars over BS and make something that we could stand behind. And it had nothing to do with anything. It almost dignifies the record and what we were even saying with it by the fact that it is kind of like a diamond in the rough, and we kept it off streaming platforms intentionally because we felt it was important that the value of it was felt by those who supported it in the fullest and not
Oh, yeah.
allowing it to just become a
I get it.
streamable piece in people's Spotify playlists. And for him to take an approach that isn't based off monetization, that was based off the art, speaks like levels and volumes to his character. We never had a convo about money until it was time for us to break bread. We broke bread and we both took them and we walked away happy, and we've continued on and we're working on other stuff. And that's really all you could ask for when working with another artist, is that they're in it for the same reason as you. And if I'm in it for money and he's in it for the art, that doesn't work. If I'm in it for the art and he's in it for the money, that doesn't work.
Yeah, the
And
only time money came up was when I had to pay my plumber.
yeah, and yo, this guy, this guy's fucking plumbing goes to shit like the day before the album drops on Bars Over BS. So literally, I'm like, yeah, I'll get that. The money's gonna come tomorrow, and then he literally took it, just went to the plumber right away, like
Wow.
immediately. So the
Damn.
album just paid his plumber, bro.
Yeah,
I
paid
mean,
the
I'm
plumber.
like, yo, damn, but I
But
mean,
listen, man, if you flush my toilet, it's like a jet engine. Whoosh! It's
that's what
right
he
out.
was saying. He's telling me it's never sounded so crisp in his whole life.
Taking
So
huge dumps. It's a beautiful
thanks,
thing.
thanks, Path of Broken Glass.
You
You
gotta
know,
love it.
got shit done.
Look how that
Um,
worked out.
but yeah, it was a great process to work with him to make the album, and we both made it for the same reasons. Um, he was honest with me about how he felt about what I brought when I brought it, and what was valuable, what was dope, and what wasn't, and I did the same. And And in the end, we both like sat down and looked at what we'd created, and we both said the same thing. We made something incredible. We sought out to make this album, and we made the album that we sought out to make. We didn't miss the mark on it. At least we don't feel we did, and the people that from who've contacted me, who've listened to it, and who've contacted Vanderslice as well, feel the same. So that's all we could ever ask for, was to make for the art to be heard the way we made it to be heard.
Yeah,
Like, because
I agree.
it's not a rap album about rap. It's not a rap album about selling drugs. It's not an album about being a victim to a struggle. It's about an entire journey and a whole perspective that comes along that, and the different variations and the different levels to taking that journey, and the different
Yep.
versions of myself I have to be as an artist, you know, to create, and the different versions that have been created, that have evolved from, the treacheries, the this label went fucked up, this opportunity went belly under, this person fucked me over for this money, this guy stole this song from me, you know there's lessons learned in all that shit. And the path of broken glass is about not letting all that dark shit,
Consume
stop you, or
you. Hmm.
prevent you from moving forward and into the next phase, because eventually you walk the path and it's dark, and eventually, you see a little light. But the path's bloody, man. It is a path of broken glass. If you do this artist thing, anybody who's been furiously pursuing music, any of my fellow MCs, producers, DJs who've tried to do it professionally, I mean, they're like, nah, I'm good enough to do this, knows that this shit is fucking crazy. It takes a special person to put up with the abuse that comes with this, because it's not an easy thing to do. Rapping is, and I find rapping and writing easy, but the pursuit and what goes into actually doing it is a whole other
Market, man.
level.
It
I
is absolutely.
started back before, like Vanderslice said, before MySpace and shit. So we didn't even have an online place to be heard. We was selling CDs on the street in the rain. That's why in that one track on the title song, Path of Broken Glass, I'm like, these guys have never hustled in the rain, man. You can tell by the way, by the lack of pep in their step, man. They walk funny, they talk funny, because they don't know what it was like standing outside with a disc, with a bunch of burned CDs or whatever,
Yep.
trying to just to get heard, to sell that, because that was the only avenue. There was no Instagram, there was no YouTube, there was no MySpace, there was only, how badly do you want people to hear you?
Person to person interaction. That's
That
it.
was it.
That was
So
it.
so someone such as myself, or such as Vanderslice, we've been doing it since before. We've watched all the different evolutions of this music thing, and we've had to evolve and change, and we've had to navigate these new ways that music is done, to the point where we're now not even we're now we now just got our music stolen from us by companies who profit off of it and pay us fractions of cents to allow people to have access to it for free, essentially, for a small fee that we don't see any of.
Yep.
Which, so if you really look at that, there's artists who've been doing it as long as myself or Van have. We have a high level of comparison of how down we've actually gone, as far as being able to maintain artistic integrity and you know f- any type of like lucrative financial return as artists, as MCs, as whatever. You got, everybody's sponsored by a brand, everybody's trying to promote, and most people are whores on the internet for money, because you can't make money. The music doesn't make the money. It creates a brand that you can then make money off of
You got
later,
to market it.
which
Yep.
is which is what most people are pursuing, and I don't ever want that, because there's no longevity in that, there's no legacy in that, there's no authenticity in that. And I don't know when it became cool for like a bunch of grown ass men to be hoeing themselves on the fucking internet, doing internet content and funny weirdo skits, and I don't know. It's a different world, and I'm not really trying to participate in it.
I agree.
Like you said earlier, the talent will eventually speak for itself, and I appreciate having your ear for as long as apparently I have, man, because that's going back a few years in a lot of projects, to go back to that Vic Grimes project, and that's all I ever wanted. And that was the business model, was if I just keep going, incessant, like almost to the point of being annoying, because that's kind of what got me where I got to. I just kept bugging people. And I'm like, nah, you got to hear me. Nah, you got to hear me. Give me a shot. Give me a shot. Give me a shot. Yeah. You know, But eventually, if I got the platform I wanted, which was Bars Over BS, so shout outs to Bars because they changed the whole game for me. They really did when they took
Shout
on
out to
Weapon
Ty
X.
Ferris, man. We love Ty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to
big,
Ty. Ty,
big fan
I
of
mean, it
that.
was Ty who got it heard by the label and made that happen, and it changed the whole game. But you know, pursuing it that way, I had very specific goals, and they weren't financially motivated. They were motivated by me trying to make a statement and prove that I belonged. So the business model was, if I just keep making good music and trying to every project, look, what could I have done better, what don't I like, what, and always trying to shift, pivot off, find a different angle, but be consistent, that eventually the talent would be heard.
Yeah.
And that's all that mattered, was the talent being recognized. Man, money comes and goes. There's rappers with millions of dollars who can barely rap fucking the alphabet in ABC rhymes and shit, and then there's guys who can string together the most intricate poetry, and who are lucky to make a few $1,000 a year off of music. you know like the one of the dudes who's probably the most intricate pensmith right now for me, and it takes a lot for me to blow my mind as an MC to be like, yo, this guy's a different level, is Vegas 7 the Ronin.
Oh
So
yeah.
I've had a few combos with him. Shout outs to him. He's a
So,
true artist, and I appreciate him, artist
yep.
to artist. Um, but again, heavily slept on, and where he should be, because it's not about the recognition monetarily. I believe it's the recognition you get from your fellow artists, because there's longevity in that. And if you make good music, and you create good art, and you leave the right impression with people doing it for the right reasons, that it will live on and it will be remembered. I think a lot of the shit that's pumped out, how doesn't matter who, but a lot of these artists just pump out a bunch of records with a few songs, 6, 7, 8, 2.5, 3 minute songs, just to pump out money and siphon money from these fans. But the consequence, I think, will be in the longevity of their legacy. You know, So I think that authenticity right now in this rap thing is rare, like true authenticity. And I know Van feels how I feel about a lot of things. So we made a record that is very, synchronistic between us, um, as far as why we made it, what we were trying to say, what we wanted to do with it, and how we wanted to present it. So authenticity is everything. And if you haven't checked the album, Path of Broken Glass, listen to it. It's real shit.
Definitely need to listen to it.
And to go back to the branding thing, like why I would never do that type of shit, it's like it just reminds me of spam, and that's and that's the impact it has. It's just packaged in a can and just shoved out. You don't get any. There's no value in it. You get no value from any of that shit.
Thank
At
you,
all.
Milo.
You know,
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I don't think I could give. That's the best comparison. It's just like
It's
packaged,
spam.
and spam, man. It's absolute garbage, and like shout outs to the artists that you can't just holler at them in their fucking inbox with the fig and present them with an amount of money if you're a terrible artist, and they'll work with you anyway. Like, the industry's turned into a place where it's just everybody, like the fucking watering hole in an African fucking, you know, what do you call them? Like a game park. You know what I mean? Like it's just every man for themselves doing what they got to do to get this little piece so they can get their little, their little meal and shit. And there's no shame, I find, in a lot of it. And hip hop we used to be a proud people. I'm gonna be honest, like the community used to be able to stand proud. And I know that there's some really dope dudes out there. And I mean, I hope nobody ever takes anything I'm taking personally, because I'm never talking about one person in specific. I'm just being general in what I see as a whole. But it's just become a lot of hoeing. The perfect example are They ain't no Domini guys. I have no problem calling them out because they've destroyed everything with their
Oh,
your
worst,
Wu
bro.
Tang
Oh,
verses, and then there's 700 people with the same Ghostface verse on a track on Spotify, they've devalued artists working together, and they take away from the culture, and there's too much accepting of that because everybody's hoping to profit off of it, and everybody
That's
will
all,
turn a
and that's
blind
the
eye so
problem.
long as they can get a little piece of that
Yeah,
money.
yeah, absolutely. This is why certain artists that I'm cool with, when they drop a project, I'll reach out to them and say, I'd rather buy it directly from you than go through if they're, whatever medium they might be using.
Right, right.
I'd rather the money go directly to you.
Yeah, yeah. And like I had a few people holler at me, that wanted to do that and say, hey man, rather than go through this or that, I'll just send you the money. And Van and I both decided we were just gonna make sure we keep everything above board so that him
Mhm.
and I could have a proper, honest exchange with how everything was,
Yeah,
because that's what that was another great experience was, like what made it such a smooth experience and process was, you know, just being honest with each other about the money side, just with and everybody showing each other so that we know what's up. Because this is a treacherous business, and because
it is
everything's done online,
brutal.
it's so easy for people to steal from people. And like I'm an honest dude, bro. I don't steal from fucking people. That's like that goes against a lot of who I am. Um, so I try and win with everybody I work with and make sure that we're all on board and I can show them, hey man, this person offered me this. I sent them over here. Um, because you give an inch and then people take a mile, and I don't ever want people to ever doubt our working relationship or doubt my integrity, within this shit. So we just decided to keep it that way. And even though, yeah, there are some people who we appreciate people wanting to say, hey man, we know you got to pay fees, so I'll just send you the money myself.
Mhm.
And that meant a lot that people were, think like that and consider us as artists enough to say, hey man, we want to make sure you get all this money and nobody fucking else gets broken off of your hard work. But Van and I to make sure that there was that no doubt in between either of us as far as what was happening financially behind the scenes. We just decided to keep it all above board, and we told everybody you just got to go get it over there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And with a company like Bars Over BS, you ain't got to worry about the bullshit that other companies are doing. I mean, they're top quality, and almost every artist that's worked with them has nothing but good things to say. And
Yeah,
I
straight
mean,
like straight every time. I've never
exactly.
never had a single. I've put out 5 records with them,
Yep.
5 man, and in 13 months, no 14 months, I put out 5 records with them, and I never had a single issue about anything. Money was always straight. Everything that was said was going to be done was done. You know, very effective communication and very focused on ensuring that their core fan base are getting what they want and the aesthetic that they like to go with is being met. And yeah, and I've nothing but the greatest things to say about working with them either. I've worked with other labels and stuff, and it's not always so smooth. You
Right.
know, another one, the label that put out the Machine Mouth 2 double disc album, Omega Level Records. Shout out to them out of Long Island. They did a great job, and it was a very smooth process with them as well. And I see them trying to build an authentic brand too, that's artist based and fan based, not, and culture based, not, trying to be the opposite of,
Just get
and we'll see where that goes. So we've definitely seen a few of the labels that promised they weren't going to do a few things that ended up doing things they said they wouldn't do because they realized how much money they were missing out on by not doing it.
got you. And Vanderslice as well has, aside from the Path of Broken Glass through Bars Over BS, you also have the joint with Rim, Corner Disciple, which I
Yes,
just
indeed.
believe.
And I also dropped Life is More Than White Bricks with Water on
Water.
Bars Over
Yeah,
BS as well.
that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, me and Rim, dude, we've been talking about doing records forever. Like, I'm talking like years.
Hmm.
And, I want to say I took most of 2023 off. Like, I didn't work almost at all. And I hit the ground running in 2024. I made over 300 beats, so I just started reaching out to people that reached out to me before. I'm like, yo, Rim, what up, man? Let's do a joint, and it came together in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? We both worked fast. I mean, the words record and I came. We work fast. As long as there's a chemistry and a synergy there,
Hmm.
it's natural for me. You know what I mean?
That's how it came about. We didn't we didn't start working talking about music. We started talking about just regular everyday fuck the world's fucked, everyone's losing their mind shit. And he said, "Hey man, like, you ever wanted to work on a track, let me know. We'll do some." And I said, "I'd like to do more than a track. I'm kind of into like album mode." And he's like, "Then let's fucking do it."
Let's go. Yeah.
And he sent me a
Dope.
pack and I had him back some shit within a couple days, and then we really sat down and talked about what we were going to do with it, and how we were going to craft an album and not just make a record. We wanted to craft an album. We wanted to mold it. So here's that. This is that joint Corner Disciple that they were
Yep.
talking about.
Yeah, I
Right
was
here,
just looking at my
Rim.
copy
Like
before.
I bought it because like
Yeah, look at that. Mad
shout out.
merch.
Shout outs to Rim, man.
No doubt.
I didn't find out about Rim from music either. I found out about Rim from the YouTube show New York Minute.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I started seeing people posting about this dude, and I'm like, yo, because I after in the credits I'd always see Rim, and I'm like, is this Rim the villain, the same guy? And then I
yeah,
looked, and I'm like, yo, this is the same fucking
yeah.
dude. So hopefully, and fucking, I hope they make some new episodes because that shit was tight, man.
That was dope. Yeah.
Yo, the other one, Respect Life, that was another good show too, man. Unfortunately, rest in peace to I forget the dude's name. I don't mean to disrespect his name. The dude from who was the star of that show, he passed a couple of years ago. I don't remember his name. You guys know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know you're
No.
talking about. I
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, yeah. Word, man. So, yo, Vanderslice. So, is this album called Corner Disciple or Corner Discipline? Because I've seen the guy in the intro says Corner Discipline.
Yeah, but it's cornered the site.
Okay, all right, and then it says, and then because I've seen a bunch of people in reviews and stuff write it as Corner Discipline, and I'm just like, what's happening?
They
Who
gotta
fucking
read.
miscommunicated this along the line?
They gotta read. That's all.
Yeah, they got to read. I mean, the reggae guy in the intro killed it though. I
Yeah,
didn't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
yeah,
It's a great record. It's a really dope record. The
yeah, man.
the album where he does where he plays the female as well and does the
Dude,
voice and shit.
that was
That
a
shit's
nightmare.
that's
Oh,
yo, that shit is it's a dope song though. The best songs are nightmares to fucking to get done,
What
man.
was the
bro, I
nightmare?
sent him the beats, and I'm like, listen, just fucking rap on it as is, and send it back. And he chopped the beat in like two different. I'm like, dude, I was like, yo, there's no way that I can. I was like, I can't get it to where like everything's in the pocket. You fucking chop the beat. You either got to re-record it or find some way to mix it as is, because I ain't doing it.
Mm.
I
Speaking of
ain't
the
doing.
mix, man, shout out to homie High Q because this was High Q from so he's out of Long Island, New York,
Yeah,
and he produced Weapon X and Project Cerberus.
purpose. Yeah.
But he's also mixed everything I've done on the whole run, everything. So when Vanderslice and I were like, hey, I'm gonna, of course Vanderslice wants to, make sure that his beats are being mixed to his expectations.
Yeah.
And so of course there's that looming, oh shit, man, like I don't know, So I sent him off to Q, and he starts sending him back, and immediately Van was like, "Yo, man, this shit sounds crisp. Your boy knows the sound." So it was like we can't front and just say it was him and I, because High Q played a
Okay.
huge role
Big
in
role.
making sure it got
So,
done. I mean, he can make the beats and I can record them, but turning them into functioning, fully produced songs, that's High Q who did all of that, man. And so big shout outs to him, like
shout out to Ike. Yeah.
and I just want to say I've been bigging him up to so many people, but and in every interview I've done, because he's played such a crucial role in me even being where I am now at all, because of him mixing everything and him producing so much. He did the first one I released with bars, but that just really got to be testament to anybody who doubted, like, right off the hop, Vanderslice was like, nah, we were good. I think there was only two songs where there was like criticisms, or like, yo, can you change this or turn this up, or no, I don't like the way that sounds. Um, so for the most part, out of all the joints on the whole album, he did it to the liking of the actual beat maker. So, to the actual beat producer. So, You know, don't doubt the dude. Go holler at him for some mixing and mastering. He knows what the fuck he's
There you
doing. He'll
go.
make your shit sound. He'll make it sound fucking beautiful, boys and girls. You know what I
That's
mean? So, but to have all three of us working in sync, where you got three people effectively making the album: Vanderslice on the beats, me writing and recording the rhymes, and then High Q mixing and mastering the record, and adding in some of the little touches along the way. Um, there's always three's a crowd sometimes, and you never know where one small misinterpretation or miscommunication or one person has a day that's just not, conducive to them having solid working relationships with others, and we've all been there, right? And it was such a smooth process. Like everything just came out bang, 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 bang. Very rarely did we have to go into beyond like a second or third edit, fixing some levels and stuff along the way. So yeah, it came out great, and it was, a lot of it was thanks to High Q. We got a good little you know um musical making trio thing going on with it. So I mean, I hope we can carry that on, and we plan on carrying it on into some future stuff. So you know what I mean, unless Vanderslice decides he takes some of my dark humor the wrong way one day and doesn't want to talk to me anymore.
Well, listen, the flip side to that experience, the guy that mixed most of the Brim record was a guy that I know from Sri Lanka. And he bailed mid job. And I'm like, dude, I thought he blocked me. I'm like, dude, this fucking guy really blocked. He didn't finish my mix, blah, blah, blah. Then to come to find out, after Trump raised the tariffs, the president of Sri Lanka banned Instagram from the country. So I couldn't even contact the guy.
Oh wow.
I'm like, this motherfucker really just bailed on us. So, so we had to get the
Yo,
last two joints mixed with somebody else.
Yeah.
that's wild, man. Yo.
True story.
Some of the last minute shit that happens.
Yeah, true story. Yeah, we
Yo.
missed the deadline with Boris
Have you spoke
twice.
to him since though? Like, have you talked to him since?
No.
Oh shit, man.
So
Okay,
he's still
okay.
blocked.
Yeah, he's just out.
Damn. Shout outs to the Sri Lankan engineer that
Yeah, I
made
mean, if you
have a
listen to the
chance.
record, it sounds good. Like, it sounds tight. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
nice. It's nice and clean. But man, he just
that's crazy. Now, Vanderslice, did you say you missed the deadline with Basel BS
yeah,
twice?
twice. Yeah, the Rim record we were supposed to be out in like January.
Yo, we
Crazy.
had Path of Broken Glass. Okay, so true story. So shout outs to the homie Mav. That's our guy right there.
Yeah, shout out to
Both
Mav.
homies are both
Damn
Van
too.
and I.
Love the cloth, man. Love him.
Yo, and so he, we got him on the record, and all of a sudden Bars gives us the date for the release. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, we'll take the date. You know what I mean? I don't want to risk having to maybe wait 3 or 4 more months after, and then you got to fill that gap with something else. You can't just go 3 4 months without something to drop on people. In this,
Hmm.
that's not how my approach, right? I'm like, okay, so we'll take the date. So I let everybody know that I needed things from him and said, look, this is the date of the release. I need to have everything back like at least a week before so I can make sure they have the audio. And same with the artwork. And in the end, we ended up getting the artwork back like nick of time so that Ronnie the Explorer, shout out Ronnie the Explorer,
Ronnie is
could do
amazing.
could put together the CD, the CD layout, and they could have the promo ready to start promoting the album dropping. So we got that at the last second. Bars was like hitting me up like, "Yo, man, what's going on?" There was even like I needed to give him an edit that dude did something wrong, and I had to. I'm like, "Yo, dude, last minute, like you didn't get me this. I need you to send this." And then with the with Mav's verse, Mav's like, "We got you." He's like, "I promise I'll have it to you by this day," but it was like the last day. So like me and Van are both just like we promised it to Bars. We've got the names on the track listing already. It's been gone in to get promoed and everything, and we did it on the strength of the homie Mav swearing like, "Yo, I got you. Don't worry. I promise." And came through, slid the verse in, murdered the track. Is fucking one of my favorites on the whole album. But me and Van were both just kind of biting our nails because we're like, yo, if anything happens, it means we got to hit up Bars and be like, yo, tell Ronnie he's got to take Matt's name off of the song. We got to rework the track listing. You know what I mean? So it was everything in that because I wrote it fast. We recorded it fast. Van gave me beats really fast, like bang, bang, bang. Like some packs I had, there was beats I had that I wanted to rock that I was like, man, I can't rock them all. We're gonna have a 47 song fucking album if I keep going this way. Um, but everything with it just happened fast, and a lot of it felt so smooth, so real, like so authentic in how it was being made. I haven't mentioned yet, I wrote and recorded 95% of it in pitch black, like in candlelight, and just by myself alone late at night between like 11 p.m. and 6 in the morning. And I would do whole sessions and just write and lose my mind because the album took a lot out of me. There was a very um, deep album. I was very raw, very gritty, and very deep. I felt it gave a lot of myself, but it was written in candlelight, all late at night and shit, like a crazy person. You know what I mean? Like just like a total lunatic. And I'm sending Vanderslice pictures of like my candles set up, and I'm like, "This is what I'm writing to, bro." And and it had such an authentic feel to it, to creating it, that I just had faith. I'm like, no, 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 everything's gonna be good. Everything's gonna work out. There's no way. It's just everything flowed too well. So even in the end, we were kind of biting our nails a bit, because we pushed, we left everything working out to some other people, because not, anything can happen. It doesn't mean someone doesn't get what they need to get, but anything could happen in their life that prevents them from being able to do it. And we're just like, we took the risk. We're like, all right, May 6th, we'll get everything. And
It worked.
everything was like right to the end, man, right to the
Yeah.
very end. And but it worked out. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot into the album as far as for us, what the
The dope
experience.
album.
The
And
experience was fucking crazy. It was very adrenaline charged. Anxiety and adrenaline charged
And
album,
everybody
right?
delivered on the features. Like nobody spit a
oh yeah,
whack verse. Like shout out to Jay Roberts, half cut. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And the
Yo,
posse cut with his friends is my favorite song on it. They're like, it's like guys I never heard of, just ripping. It's like that's the
yes.
old school shit. Like that's what I used to love about old posse cuts. It'd be like a song with Redman and three of his friends you never heard of, and he would just be
mhm,
crushing it. Like yo, what the fuck? Like,
So yo,
that's the
so the
shit.
yeah.
so the
Broken
dudes on the
records.
song,
Mm,
the dudes he's talking to on this posse cut, all so we got High Q, so the producer of Weapon X and Cerberus, and the guy who mixed and masters all my shit, including that album, him rapping on it. Jay Carr, who's my homie from Guelph, Ontario, and B1 the architect from Ontario as well. So shout outs to High Q, Jake, and B1. You just heard it from the man himself that it's like his favorite joint on the album because you guys ripped it, and he didn't know who you are, and now he does. So that's what's good. And I try and put as many people like of my people on my records as I can. I love having some guys that are, more sometimes a little more recognizable, or who are guys I pick because I listen to their music, not because they're like the homies, but because I genuinely listen to their music and we have a good musical relationship. But I always like to have Q's on everything, Jake Hawes on everything. Me, B1's been on a few things.
mhm.
Jay Roberts has been on a couple of my projects recently. Like there's some dudes out there that I just feel like I want people to hear, man. And I doing things or progressing or evolving musically in this little wave thing. I always want to make sure that I'm still doing things how I said I would, or how I said I would, and how I was, and always making sure that the people around me who supported me and who genuinely were there for me, are able to participate and be a part of it. And hopefully, maybe some of these guys, I hope maybe they get heard enough that they get a press with one of these labels, or maybe they can get an opportunity to spin their own, momentum into the wave. Because, like, let's not fucking lie to ourselves. There's a lot of just carbon copied fucking insufferable garbage, because it's a carbon copy of a carbon copy of a carbon copy of a carbon copy.
Week in,
You
week out.
know, there's the heavyweight lyricism is, I feel is getting lost in a lot of ways. And it's not regarded the way that it used to be. I think it's making a turn, because I think the same ways as how like with anything, when something's done enough times over and over again, the fans and the genre's fan base, want something different. And I think that the fans are starting to get to that point where they're just kind of tired of like a lot of Griselda, recycled Griselda
Yep,
music, and the
yep.
shoot you in the face, bang bang gun rap, and the, you know, on 70 BPM beats of guys just saying the same thing they've said on every other song that's 71 BPM. You know, um, I've spoken to some fans, and I would love to see there be a turn where the fans start to demand higher levels of lyricism. There's some guys who really spend time with their pen. Ty Ferris is one of them. He's a very intricate writer,
Absolutely.
um, and he makes him unique. And there isn't a lot of unique MCs out there. There's a lot of good MCs, but we don't have a lot of unique MCs, and we don't have a lot of top tier lyrical MCs. Vegas Seven, the Ronin, has some fucking songs that I have to spin back because it makes my head do a 360. Because as an MC, I got to go back and dissect how he just put that
Yeah.
whole shit together, and I miss that. I miss hearing a not a cool punchline. I mean an intricate woven rhyme scheme that
Yeah.
goes on for many bars. And you have to go back because there's so much. You're like, what the? How did he make this sound to this? And how did he
Mhm.
transition from this to this? And it's
Same thing with the quadruple entendres.
yeah, and I'm sure there's so many that go over our heads, and because you got to get it to get it, and uh, and to see artists that strive to do that, to be intricate, but to also be unique and have their own way of approaching the pen. um I've had some of the guys I look up to in this music stuff. I've mentioned a couple of their names throughout, I believe, but I've had conversations with them where they've regarded my penmanship and the way I rhyme the way I regard theirs, and that's the highest that praise I could ever get is from another MC who I look at as someone that wows me, saying, yo, your pen fucking wows me, or your pen game is sharp, you're a swordsman of this shit. And that means a lot to me, and we need more of that. We need more competitive, healthy competition between MCs who are trying to sharpen each other's swords, so we can create a higher standard of what we demand as MCs, or what the culture demands as MCs. Like Spit Gems is one of the fucking craziest. Dude, his shit is insane. He's so dope. You know what I mean? And in the scheme of things, slept on. And some guys that he rhymes with have much more simpler ways of approaching things, but are much more well known, right? So at the same time, it's like, I'm hoping that the fans start to say, hey, man, we're kind of tired of this recycled formula. Let's go back to when, you really had to work hard to impress us. Because the fans are who demand the level of artistry they get from us. The fans, people are going to keep giving the fans what they will accept.
Yeah.
We've already this. I feel this. A lot of this is proven that if the fans will lower the bar of what they will accept or what they expect from artists, on an MC level, on a writer's level, you know, then it's testament to the fact that a lot of artists they'll give the least if the fans will accept the least from them. Because I could
Because
never drop an 8-song album and charge somebody $45 for it. That's fucking crazy to me.
Alchemist just dropped an instrumental LP for $80. I'm saying, what are you doing? You're killing me, buddy. You're killing me.
yes, that and that West Side Gun came out today as well on the vinyl and
Oh
cassette.
no, dope. Yeah, of course.
And
It's
that project was maybe 20 minutes, if that.
It's
well, I
like
have a
three songs, four skits.
I have a theory, man. My theory is that a lot of fans who approach this and they become very invested in specific artists. A
Oh
lot
yeah.
of money and a lot of their listening time, a lot of their emotional, mental investment into the music and the artist. So by the time some of these guys realize that the fucking artists are kind of using them as a fucking ATM machines, with,
Hmm.
with as far as what they're giving back to the fans, they've already invested so much money of their own money that to boycott the artist would then mean boycotting a huge piece of not only their money but their time and their belief in an artist. And I think it's something that a lot of them just don't want to face. So people will kind of accept it and keep supporting, because it's easier to do that than kind of go through the process of realizing, hey, man, this guy's just giving me shit for 80, 90, $100, fucking 20-minute albums every month. and I gotta get by it right away or it'll sell out, and then I'll have to, if I want it, I'll have to go on a fucking reseller. It's rigged. A lot of it
Yeah,
is
it
rigged.
is.
It's rigged. And so, with my music, and I talk about it, I have great relationships with the core listener base that I have, because a lot of them supported me when I wasn't doing shit. There was no Bars Over BS. They were the ones hoping I got pressed with Bars Over BS and like, you'd be a great fit. And we're probably in the background messaging Bars Over BS and telling them that they should be, so shout outs to those dudes. And they
Yeah,
know who they are. Um, but these guys make us, and we're nothing without them. And it's cool for everyone to feel and get gassed on their own hype and think that the fans don't matter anymore, but they do. The longevity of your career lies in the fans' hands. It really does. Whether you have thousands and thousands of them or you have less, it doesn't, or you have, a lot less, it doesn't matter, because they make us, and eventually these guys get tired of it. And I feel like more artists such as like, because I know what I do. I gave these guys 22 songs for this. I'm like, Van, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Because I was like, we're giving them this something special, like this everything. It can't just be a piece of everything. It's got to be all of it. If I'm gonna give them this album that I'm talking about, I'm writing, I have to do it to the max. Machine Mouth 2 was dedicated to the fans who actually support and buy physical music, because they're the most important thing, and they're why we are who we are. And they take us from nothing to something without them buying our music. And to me, like, I'm an honorable human being, and so to these guys, I'm so grateful that these people, like, look at the price on the labels, man. We don't need to talk about them, but the prices are, if you're buying these records from these labels, these collectors albums, you know, you're paying a good amount of money. It's
hmm
not $15 at the local fucking CD store, the local record shop.
not like it used to be.
And that shit means a lot to me. That means these motherfuckers really support me. Like, they really, like, these guys worked hard. And this is a tough world where everything costs a lot more than it used to, and people aren't most people are, struggling to survive at times. And so to know that they're doing that, it's like, I have to give them back. I have to give them my fucking everything. I have to give them as much as I can give them, so they feel like I'm giving them the value that they deserve for investing their time and money and ear to my music, to Van's music, to whatever. That that means so fucking much. So when I see the way a lot of these guys are just treating the fans, there's nothing I can do about it, and I'm not kicking up too much of a fuss, but I'm never silent with how I feel that the internet age has made it very easy for it to just become everything, to become like, like a fucking, like a scam,
Oh yeah,
you know, like
Yeah, I
a,
don't care about the fans. I'm charging $10,000 for my next record.
that's what Van already said. So if he said, if we work on another album, we have to charge $10,000 per copy. So we know that the fans who buy it are real supporters.
That's right.
But yeah, so shout outs to all the, whether people
I'll
like,
send you a free copy. You know what I'm saying? But everybody
yeah,
else 10G.
whether people listen to my music who hear this or not, shout outs to like the listeners out there and the fans who make sure that they go out of their way to purchase from the artist direct, or buy their physical music, and buy the merch, and share the music, and whatever, because it's so easy to be a fair weather fan and just stream whatever. And I
hmm
mean,
which is a waste.
I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm
for
not,
sure.
I don't think a lot of
Is
people realize how little we actually make off of the streaming. Like, it's almost so ridiculous when I tell people what we make. They don't think it's real. They're like, there's no way that they're just breaking you off 0.00017 of a cent.
it,
I'm like, that's if I'm the sole writer, producer, if it's all my song, that's how much I get.
mhm. I
Imagine
think
I gotta break Van off
yeah,
50% of that 0.00017 of a cent, and then the engineer, and then any feature artist. Th-
if you're
Fuck,
right,
man.
yeah.
That's
I,
crazy. When we used to
I really
I
feel
used to sell CDs for 20, or albums for $20 on fucking iTunes. Boom. And I could guarantee like 50 fucking paid downloads within the first, day or two of me dropping anything on iTunes back in the day.
and that's it. I feel in 2025, with the way technology is, nobody should be oblivious and ignorant to artists not getting paid properly from any of these streaming platforms. They should know good and well by now.
But it's willful. It's there's also that, cognitive dissonance. There's that willful ignorance that takes place where they just kind of ignore it. It's like when you go into the fridge. I was telling my wife this the other day. Yesterday, I think. You ever gone into the fridge and you're hungry and you go through it and you're like, there's nothing in here, nothing in here, blah, 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 blah. And then one day you see something and you're like, yo, how long has this been in here for?
Hmm.
And they're like, man, it's been in there for a month. And you just skimmed over it. It's like you were just not paying attention. It wasn't in your sight. And I think a lot of guys do that consciously to not have to, because let's face it, if a lot of fans really knew how shitty their support was by just streaming, refusing to buy music, share, you know how fucked up it is when people hit me up in my inbox to tell me how dope the album is, and I'm like, oh word, man, where'd you grab it from? And they're like, oh, I stream it on Spotify. And I'm like, you know how fucked up it is for someone to tell you that the music they didn't pay you for was great to listen to in their living room and in their car and on their way to work and at the gym?
Yeah, all that work you put into it.
So, that's why we didn't put the album on the streaming platforms. And me and Van both had the same experience where people were hitting us up saying, when's it going to be on Spotify? Basically, underhandedly saying, hey, I'll listen to it when I can listen to it for free.
Free, yeah.
When I can just click a button without any monetary exchange, I'll listen to it. And it's so normalized now that they'll say it without even realizing what they're actually saying to us, which is smack. That's what they're saying to us.
Yeah, because when 3 o'clock hit, I was on Bars Over BS, and I sent Vanderslice pictures that I purchased it, not thinking that y'all also was saying that you would send the digital to the people. I completely forgot about that because in my mind,
you got that right.
I want to support the physicals.
You got your digital download though, right?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And he uploaded it and shared it to millions of people.
He's like, Pirate Bay. I did that shit.
Exactly. And they say, hey, I bought it, man, so it's mine.
So.
What I wanted to say was, with a company like Balls Over BS, they have loyal customers. And they know that, for instance, your album, with Words of Vanderslice, okay, they know that they're going to have quality music being sold through them. So if Words Vanderslice are on there, we already know that this is going to be a project that's going to be worth supporting.
And I told Words that if we just put this out by ourselves, we wouldn't have sold half the copy. It's just a weird thing, man. They have a cult following, man. The people that buy their releases, they try to buy them all.
Well, it becomes a catch, a little bit of a catch, because I have people that would buy them if they were, if it was $20 over here in Canada. Remember, they're being sold in USD over there.
Yeah, it's $50.
The conversion over here to Canadian per CD was $50. So for every Canadian, they paid $50 plus in a country where like prices are insane, dude. Like the average person is paying like $1,700-$1,800 a month for rent for a small little apartment. We're not talking. It's crazy. Groceries it's wild. So these are people that I am aware where that money could otherwise be going, and they chose to support me. But there's also people that if me and Van had just pressed them ourselves, made the independence, we wouldn't have got some of the bars guys, but we, probably would have been a little more, able to give them to these guys over here and sell them for $20.
Right.
But bars is a brand, and it is a signification of a certain quality of music.
It's a standard.
It's a standard. So when they say they're the brand of high quality, every
you
time
bet
a
on that
project,
shit.
there's people who buy them, and then I have that have contacted me who only found out about me because they bought it from bars, because they trust that bars is selling them some good quality shit, and they just buy them because they collect Bars Over BS's music, and that's how they discovered me. And that's why I say to these artists, like, and when I talk to guys, people try and talk with me about money. And I'm like, man, you're not doing, people want to ask dumb questions. And I never asked any of these people any questions about money. I just wanted to know about release dates and how many copies were coming out and when I could have some myself for me to look at and fucking, drool over my own artwork. Money shouldn't matter to artists right now. They shouldn't give a fuck about them. And I've heard some stories and some times where some artists had good opportunities with a label such as Bars or otherwise, where they believe they're worth more than they are when the label's brand is a bigger brand than their artist brand.
Absolutely.
And that's a problem that these MCs need to get off of and understand that just because you get 150 likes on a video you post, probably two of those 150 people are going to buy your fucking music. So it doesn't make you worth anything to any of these labels until you're selling records for them. Your view count doesn't matter to them until it translates into sales. They're not there to give you a shot because they think you're great and they want to pat you on the back. They're there because they're like, we think you're good enough. We see something in you that we believe, will give you an opportunity to move forward that's good for you and good for us. Not only that, we'll give you some money too. But artists fuck up. This rap shit is full of a bunch of gassed up assholes who are in it for the wrong reasons, who don't know the struggle, who don't know about having to build a brand, who don't know about doing 100 open mics or shitty battles or crappy fucking ciphers in parking lots to prove to anybody that you're worth anything. They just have a Facebook group that fucking likes all their shit and makes them feel good. And each like is like a little pat on the back, a little pat on the head. You're good, you're doing good, little boy. And they start to think they're way more important than they are. And there's been some epic failures on these labels because of guys who think they can do more than they really can, and they don't move any copies because no one wants to pay that. It's easy for a fan to press the like button and stream your music and share it and go, you check this
And
new
just keep
song,
going.
guys. But will they open their fucking wallets for you? Will they open up their bank account and type it all out and order the music and buy the record? And most people won't. And that's why artists need to focus more on building the integrity of their brand. I don't like using the term brand. I think it's cliche now because so many people use it. I'm a brand, or I'm trying to. That's not good for my brand. Well, Van, we were talking about that brands, rappers who think they got a brand, but essentially, you're a representation of your own value, and a lot of these labels have their own cult followings. And if artists were more concerned with showing and proving than showing and then demanding money, and guys being humble and wanting to learn and realizing that there's always a lot to learn, and guys we're never really as important as we think we are. I ain't shit. So it's such a, what's the word? It's like a plague in the wave right now because everyone thinks they can capitalize off of a lot of things. So it's become a lot more convoluted than I think it was a few years ago when you had like a core group of dudes who were just kind of really killing it, putting out the vinyl, you know. And now that it's become a little more open, open market, and we're seeing a shift in who's becoming the top dog, and who are the guys who are selling some records, and who are the guys people are talking about, and who's the potential problem.
Yeah.
um but there's also um a lot of misrepresentation in there
Oh yeah.
as
Well,
far as as
there's
far
been
as
a lot of,
you know
I call them
and
fly by night labels that were out there producing vinyl, and they were going in like a year.
air vinyl, man.
Oh,
Air vinyl, bro. Oh shit. And yo, shout out my dude, all guns and no butter, man. All guns, no butter, man. My guy is I don't know if you know his page, go check it out. His whole page is just dedicated to shitting on the super obsessive fan base with these labels and the way the labels rip off the fans, and uh
I
and
gotta
it's
check that out.
hilarious because yeah, it's me and Van talked about this about, do we want to try and make this, do we want to push it to vinyl labels, and like, when he asked me, what do you want to do with it, what are we trying to do, and I said I just want it to be heard by people that really want to hear it,
Actually
you
own it
know
and listen to it. Yes.
and I think I think in that moment I don't know, maybe I think maybe he was kind of testing where I was trying to take, was what was I trying to do, or what were my intentions, because we both know that if your value or your name provides value, you never know what someone's intention behind attaching themselves to said name might be. So, I'm glad we got to make it very clear that neither of us were driven by anything other than creating great music and just trying to get it heard, but heard the right way. Not,
I
we didn't
agree.
want to beg anyone to listen to it, and we also didn't want to devalue what we created by letting people have it for free just because more people would be able to hear it.
If you made a quality product to add to your catalog, both of your catalogs, to be more specific, and a part of that is the structure and how it's played out as well, which is very vital with any project. So there's another component that we didn't speak of just yet, and that is skits. And you have Lukey Cage from your best
Yo,
podcast on there,
shout out my guy Lukey
who's been
Cage, man.
doing this thing with Big Ghost for a very long time.
Yeah, that's how I found out about him on the second Conway Big Ghost record when he did the skit on that, and then he was doing the Fuck You Mean podcast back then.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So he was with a different podcast, but that's how I found him was through the Conway Big Ghost shit, and over some time we became friends, and he's blessed a couple of the projects now, and when I presented that to Vanderslice, and I said, look, I'm not sure how I want to make the album or structure the songs yet, but I know that I hear Lukey Cage transitioning through these phases of the album.
It's almost like you got a
Um,
challenge. Yeah.
so he was brought in to provide a voice that wasn't my voice, that kind of lightened the energy and brought it back in to the next phase of what I was trying to say. And you know, I think he nailed it, because we had some
Yeah.
conversations back and forth about how I wanted it, what I was trying to say. I mean, it was hard to convey to him what I wanted him to say, but kind of say it like it's me. You know what I mean? It was an interesting process, and I think that he fucking nailed it. And I think that he did bring that transition to it, even from the intro. I originally just wanted him on the intro, and then I was like, yo, I really hear him coming throughout the album and kind of narrating this and outroing it. And he did a great job, and I feel that I'm glad you noticed that. That he played a key component in creating what I feel was the full, almost cinematic album experience.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
I wanted it to be not a movie, but I wanted it to be an experience. I wanted people to walk away from it and be like, fuck, holy shit. I don't have words for that yet. I wanted people to have to marinate on it after they listened to it, to figure out how they felt about it, and how they were going to process it.
Agreed. Agreed. And the way the intro was done is nice because you have Lukey Cage speaking, and it's almost like it was a transition going into words coming in to drop your verse.
And the beat's high adventure, man. The beat's
Mhm.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Van Kildown. That was one of the first beats we chose. And I said to him right away, I was going through, he sent me a folder, and I was going through, and I was like, yo, this one right here, that's the intro right there. And he's like, yo,
Mhm.
that was made to be an intro. And I'm like, dude, because right away I knew that had to be it. I'm like, right away, I was like, that's the intro to the album. First thing they hear, ba-na-na. Fucking, it was in the first three or four that were decided upon for the album, was that the intro track.
From a Chuck Norris movie.
See, and
Why didn't you tell me that before, bro? I totally would have for that. I would have had it end with a Chuck Norris quote, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have had it end with a little Chuck Norris quote, just for
Yeah.
the little, inside effect
It's
between us. I
it's
didn't
not
know.
it's an underground Chuck Norris movie.
Mm.
Yo, is there anything but underground Chuck Norris
Crazy,
movies?
man.
I don't think I've ever gone over to anyone's house and I've been looking through their DVD collection and they got a bunch of Chuck Norris movies in
Look,
there.
look,
Maybe their dad has the whole series of Walker, Texas Ranger or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's Eye for an Eye. Great fucking soundtrack. That movie's fucking awesome.
Eye
yep.
for an eye.
Yeah.
Yo, man, I was
You
into
know,
the Delta
this,
Force were the
this
ones,
brings me
man.
to a
Shit.
question for Vanderslice because yo, he does such a great job of having that cinematic feel, but at the same time, I want to know what is your favorite era of TV, cartoon, and films? Is it the 70s? Is it the 80s?
Cartoons, the 80s, G.I. Joe, Transformers. Movies, I'd say 80s into the 90s, because like Big Trouble in Little China was 85, Cobra was 89.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, action, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone movies, 80s, and my favorite TV shows are all from the 70s. The only exception is probably T.J. Hooker, and that was early 80s. That was like 82. But like, I mean, Knight Rider was 85, but Hawaii Five O,
Yep.
Magnum PI, or like, just like I like
Nash, all of them.
the
Yeah.
the best music in TV was like Mike Post when he was like a grubby stoner, like before the Law and Order days,
Mhm.
and he did shows from about like 73 to 80. They're bulletproof, like they're incredible. So I mean, that's definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Cause like I'm trying to think if there's, dude, I watch any cop show. You know what I mean? I sampled McLeod the other day. That's on
Mhm.
Amazon Prime.
Yo, fuck. Yo, the McBain fucking samples all over
Yeah, it's
Yo,
that beat
great.
I
tape he
love that.
dropped,
Yeah,
man. This
yeah.
guy,
I
it
tried
came
to.
at
I
like
tried.
11 p.m. He's like, yo, I'm dropping a beat tape at midnight.
Yeah, fuck it.
And
Why
I'm
not?
like, fucking
Yeah.
send me that
What
shit
do you
so I
say?
can listen
No,
to it.
no
So he
said
sends
date,
it
right?
through.
Yeah,
Dude,
nah,
the,
no,
the
no. I
best
mean,
McBain clips, man. The best, like the most iconic McBain clips were in this, and it just set that shit off. It was
because
beautiful.
Yep.
even the record Fever I put out on Bandcamp Friday, I deleted it Monday. So like, if you got it, you got it. If not, you just have to wait. Because we're not
Oh,
dropping it for. We ain't dropping it anytime soon. I think the wax comes out the 27th.
okay.
We're
Okay.
putting out a video with Nems on the same day, and then after that, probably like 2 weeks later, maybe. Because I mean, Feeve is disenchanted with streaming too, man. It's like, yo, you look at how many records he does. He does
Yep.
like 5, 6 albums a year, and then you go look at the numbers, man. They don't add up.
Mhm.
They just don't add up, man. You know what I mean? Yo, for the quality of music, like to not have a drop off. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's crazy. Because like you said, like I dropped the McBain tape, we dropped the Path of Broken Glass, and I dropped the UFO Thief shit all in like a 2 day span.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? And it's all shit I stand behind. I got one more drop, like I'm dropping my Knight Rider beat tape in June, and then I'm falling back for a little while.
Okay.
Till probably the next words are. I just sent beats to Rim, so we might work on another one. Ty Flash picked a couple joints. Like I'm still working, but I mean, as far as like just flooding, I'm chilling. I'm just gonna, we take the summer off, drop something into the fall.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I like the cold weather music anyway. You know what I mean? Like Smith and Wesson, The Shining, that type of shit.
I got
Mob
you.
Deep,
Yeah.
the infamous cold weather
Yeah,
music.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
See,
Words and I are working on another one that'll come out. You know,
yeah, see, we
Dope.
want to see. We did something. We did something that was a step above what I think most MCs are giving. Now, I don't just mean the amount of tracks. I mean the amount of introspect, the amount of honesty, the amount of raw that isn't rooted in battle rhymes or braggadocious rhymes about what they have or they've acquired or their status, whatever. It was a lot to make, and it was such an easy process to do something so extreme
Mhm.
and write it and be happy with everything. Like, I mean, I'm coming off of so many other albums. I was like, man, I don't even know if I have it in me. Like, am I gonna just say a bunch of old shit? Am I gonna hate everything? Am I gonna, trail off? And it was such an easy process. So before we'd even finished the first one, we were like already in agreement that we were gonna move on to a second one. But we want to stick within this, not going to give away anything about it other than we want to stick with kind of a not a brand either. That's the wrong word. A vibe, a vibration and energy um, that they can expect from our project. So it's not going to be the same, but it's going to be rooted in the same grit
Take
and
from it.
and
Mhm.
honesty and fire um, as the path of broken glass.
That's
And
the
that's
emotion. I got
and,
it.
and this is why I like. I'll go right back and go right back to something that we alluded to. We never got into it, but me working with a single producer is because I love it. Each producer I can create something that the listener, once I've done more than one with them,
Hmm.
there's a sound we've created. And I have an energy with high Q I don't have with Vanderslice and vice versa. Same with like Al Capella or whoever it is that I'm making a record with. Um, and we create a sound, and I work a certain way with a certain producer, and they bring a certain thing out of me. And I like creating something that the fans know that what to expect from me, but at the same time not know what to expect from me. And the way that they don't know what to expect from me is because I'm always trying to give them a little more and a little extra and something a little different to outdo what I gave them the last time. But at the same time, I'm trying to create specific aesthetics and sounds and energies with these producers, So in the end, when I look back on it, or even fans look back on it, and they're like, you know, the sound I made with High Q is different than the sound I made with Al Capella, and the
Right,
sound I
right,
made from Al Capella is different from the sound I made with Vanderslice or from Dark Arts, and people can go and connect with the sound I made with this guy because maybe that energy fits them this day. And today's a Words and Vanderslice day. Um, I find it's really hard to maintain an energy and to maintain an authentic chemistry because, like I said, with this record, I made it. I wanted people to feel it, and it was only able that was only able to happen because of I was only able to write it the way I was able to write it because of the chemistry I had with Vanderslice and talking about how I was going to write it or what I was going to write about, and that authenticity that we were able to consistently maintain throughout the entire record is why you can hear it in it. It's why it has an energy to it, and you can feel it a bit differently. You start making albums with different producers, and you have different energies with every track because your interaction and your relationship with each producer is going to be different, and that's going to affect, to me anyway. I'm not trying to speak on anyone else's experiences, but to me it makes it hard for me to really give that wholehearted connection and give them an authentic experience because it's just too much. The way that, say, you commented on the way that Path of Broken Glass was laid out. I went through that track list. I think it went through four versions before I was happy with how I put it together. And with a bunch of different producers, that's really hard to do because it's not just about the song, it's about the energy or the vibration or what's bleeding out of the song or what else is in the background of the song that only
uh-huh.
existed between how you made that with the producer. Sometimes there's songs that are great songs, and I love the song, but I fucking hate the process I went through with the producer to make it. Some of them I don't even talk to anymore. You know,
Right.
um, so it's like by doing that, I know what I can deal with. We either got that connection or we don't, and then if we do, that means okay. We make a few songs. Can we maintain that connection? Can we maintain that vibration? And then if we can, it's like, all right, boom, let's make a fucking whole album. And then that's how that happens. And I feel that in the end, I'm creating very authentic works, but different, unique works where everything will sound different because I'm using a different, composer every time. Rather than trying to mix symphonies, I'm trying to keep it. This is what you get from me when I'm with this guy. This is what you get from me when I'm with this guy, and so forth. And that's the way I chose to
Right.
approach it. It's been a much easier process, I can tell you, in being able to create high volumes of albums than if I
Mhm.
was trying to deal with all this guy, and I need the files from this guy, and then blah, 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 blah. And this guy only has the MP3 version anymore because his computer crashed and he doesn't have the files anymore. Like, there's just so much disastrous shit that can happen. And the more people you
I
enter into
get it.
making an album with, the more risk you're taking on. Anything could happen with any of these people that could, drastically affect the outcome of the whole record. So me and Van, me and him are both kind of weirdo shut-ins, and that's what we did. He makes pasta. I fucking drink protein shakes and lift weights.
My
Murphy,
clam
baby.
sauce is next level. All right.
Hmm?
So my clam sauce is next level.
Yo, he's been brand like I'm almost at the point of telling this guy he's just got to stick it in a container, do, send the shit via
Send it
fucking
to you.
FedEx to me because he's been talking about his sauces forever, bro. Like sometimes he'll wake me up. I'll wake up to a message from him
Uh-huh.
randomly from him telling me about his new sauce. He's serious with he's a serious sauce man. He ain't
Listen,
fucking
man, this
around,
is
bro.
it's
Yeah,
just like making beats, man. You take raw ingredients and turn it into something.
That's right.
It's no different.
sauce is your thing. Got you.
Yo,
Yeah, let the simmer a good sauce.
it's a good analogy for life though.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Life is just a slow simmering sauce.
That's right.
You know, just adjusting the ingredients as you go, taking a taste. I don't know, man. I smoke too much weed, man. Leave me alone.
That's all good. That's all good. Before we started this interview, I went to Bars Over BS website because I remember that there was the jewel case was still available.
Yep.
There's none available, but my question is, there's two exclusive tracks on there. Can you
Yep.
tell us about those tracks?
Yeah. They were just a couple joints that we knew that we wanted to give a couple of tracks as bonuses. Um I'm trying to remember how we laid this out. Yeah. So the two extra tracks that are on the CD that aren't on the digital version that you can download on the Bandcamp. Um they were just some extra shit talk tracks. Like, not that they were just shit talk tracks, but they were songs that were able to be. We had to make sure that we gave the fans something like we gave the listeners songs that could fit the album
Hmm.
and be in the album as a full without affecting it, but also be removed from it and not affect the album. So that was difficult to do. So I went through the list, and me and Van listened to the album. I don't know how many times he listened to it. I listened to it probably 17.5 times, and and gave him my suggestions on what I felt we could remove. And there was even other songs that didn't make the cut. That there was a lot of that didn't even make the CD version of the album. We could have made it a bigger album. Um, but there comes a point where we didn't want to overproduce it, and then it takes away from the whole experience. You have one too many songs, you push one too many boundaries too far, or have one too many songs that maybe sound like other songs on the record, and you could lose them. So we felt that these two joints we could pull out and not affect the listener's experience with the album as a whole, because they were more me kind of hopping in being like, hey, I'm here, ba 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 ba, just spitting that raw shit and dropping some intricate fucking woven punchline style lyricism. um and we kept those and put those on the CD because we always, on everything I drop, I give the listeners, if you're buying the physical music, you're getting songs on the CD or the cassette that aren't on anything available to anybody else every single time. So it's the least I can fucking do. Like, you guys dropping $50 on a CD of mine, man. Like,
Yeah, you're gonna
bless
get
my heart,
something.
man.
Yeah, you're gonna get something for your money, man, for sure.
That so
Yeah,
and when I told Van that, he was like, that's what the fuck is up, man. That's a good way to go about it. Same with the digital, giving the digital away for free, man. Like, you guys will buy it, but then wait, you gotta wait 6 to 8 weeks to get it. And I'm like, I want you guys to hear it now. You already paid the money. You guys should hear it now. So that's why I did we decided to do the digital
appreciate
download.
it.
And it's also a throwback to what I did. Like everything's awesome. The Bandcamp version, the iTunes version, and the vinyl are all different.
Different.
All three of them
Yo,
are different.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's how the no hooks just elbows is. The CD version, the cassette version, and the online version were all different. Because I was like, there's some people who want to buy the same project in all different variants, right? They'll buy it all, and I was like, but what? Like, why not make it a different experience for them every time? So they listen to the CD version, it's the same songs. Maybe a song or two I would change. I think I put on like an extra bonus one on the cassette, but I changed up the track listing so that like it's listening to it as a different experience on the CD than on the cassette. And a lot of that was before I had any label stuff. So that was when people who were listening to me and buying my shit were really doing it. Like, I was nobody. They're just like, yo, you're dope, man. And that's what it used to be like. Like, let's not forget that there was a point in time where all of us, there was nothing iller than like rolling up to the homies and having discovered some new dope shit that you knew they were gonna flip out over, and being the guy with the CD who rolled up, no, 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 check out this new shit that I just found. Bah! And fucking changing the whole party. This is before the MP3 downloads were everywhere, and the social media and all this shit, where you really had to search for dope. Like that's how I found a lot of old boot. That's how I found Punchline and Wordsworth. Was my dude came up to me, yo, bro, you gotta check this shit. Boom, and stuck on Punchline and Wordsworth, all this underground shit I'd never heard before. And then I was mad because my name was Wordsmith at the time, and his name was Wordsworth, and I was like, this motherfucker be, yo. I mean, I'm just playing, but um, that's how I discovered so much dope hip hop, was people proudly presenting it. Like, check out this shit that you've never heard before. You got to hear this. And now it's the opposite. It's like people don't really want to hear it unless everyone else is listening to it at the same time.
Bullshit, because that's not thinking for yourself.
So for me, it was sample clearance issues. I couldn't clear a Marge Simpson sample, so that had to come off the wax. And then Self-Titled missed the deadline for the verse on the Mercury's joint, and that's also not on the wax. And then I had something come in after the deadline that I put on there, but I forget what it was. Maybe Mashy Ragazzino came in late, and that's why the Bandcamp version of Everything's Awesome is the truest version of my record.
Because you have the most control over it, right? In the end.
Yeah.
You can make alterations to it and, add shit, take it away.
Dude, I wanted when I went, because we went and recorded with Freddie Gibbs in person. I wanted 8 bars. Because I was like, listen, man, I had this looping beat, and it was super slick. I'm like, look, I just need a quick 8 bars. I don't even care about a whole verse, nothing. And he didn't want to do it. I was like, this motherfucker. So then he did Bugatti Bullet Holes, which came out, it was a banger, but I was like, dude, I wanted people to hear my shit because it was an instrumental album with a few raps on it. I was not trying to do a full compilation of songs. And like, I was just like, yo, I need somebody to spit 8 bars on this fucking beat, man, and nobody would do it. Nobody. Dude, they just wouldn't do it. And it's like, I had no budget back then either. I was paying people I paid Gibbs, I paid Evidence, and everybody else rapped for free. Because and it wasn't it was nowhere near what people would charge. Like, I was charging like $500. I was like, yeah, because Bravo from Sib Rooms is a friend of mine, and they worked heavily with Evidence. I just went through him. I'm like, yo, man, I need to put Ev on this shit right here. I sent him the beat. He just hit me like, yeah, Ev fucks with the beat, man. He just wants something. You know what I mean? It wasn't even because I've never paid retail for anything. That's another thing.
There are guys who have fucking no name dudes who are like, in the scheme of things, are no names, who have asked me for 3 times what I paid Saigon to get on a joint with me. Saigon. And these guys are nobodies asking for 3 times that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, shout outs to the guys who know the artists and work with the artists.
Yeah, and also, my talent, like when you hear it, when they heard the beats, man, like they fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I paid cut rates for everybody. Like, Conway rapped for free when I did the joint with Prodigy. It's got Prodigy, Twin, and Conway on it. Twin and Conway both rapped for free. I paid P because he's P. You know what I mean? But again, it wasn't anything significant. So I always took that respect, man, because like it was.
Yeah, it's harder as an MC though, because as an MC, you're not, as a producer, there's always something in their back pocket that if it's dope, they can turn to you and say, yo, I need beats for an album later. Hey man, you got a beat pack for me?
Yeah, of course.
As an MC, it's a little, I mean, and it's not to try and to devalue or anything. I'm just saying as an MC, I found it harder because of the sea of kind of DM whoring, where any rapper could just kind of holler at any rapper, and as long as they were willing to pay the fee, they didn't give a fuck.
But that's the thing. Like, go try to get Freddie Gibbs on a record. He ain't jumping on your record. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You can't just pay Freddie Gibbs. Like, that type of shit, Like, again, we recorded with Scarface in person, and
that's dope.
My boy A-War, he showed up with DJ Khaled. I was like, this motherfucker was really, because I bailed. I'm like, because like A-War called me. He's like, yo, I'm going to fucking D&D's Premiere Studio headquarters at that time. He was like, I'm gonna go record with Scarface. And I lived in Philly. I was 2 hours away and shit. I lived right outside of Philly. I'm like, man, I was like, man, fuck that. I ain't driving out there. I trust you guys. And he showed me. He's like, yeah. He's like, he showed up with DJ Khaled. And I asked him, I'm like, yeah, what was it like? He's like, it's exactly what you think it was like. He said, yeah, Khaled walked in. The first thing he said, he's like, yo, we about to make history.
Wow. No doubt, man. I
I've been in
mean,
some weird rooms, man.
That's crazy.
yo, yo, I've been in some rooms, and and a lot of the most important rooms I was in, I was too young, and I didn't realize the royalty to which I was around as far as what it could have really done if I had have played my cards right. Now I would drink and party and just be a fucking asshole. I ruined a lot of good opportunities by being an obnoxious drunk or an overly aggressive, overly assertive drunk. You know what I mean? Me and
Yeah,
alcohol.
challenging guys to movie tie fights in the parking lot.
No, no, no.
Dude, kick
I
me in the
started
leg. Do it.
I started chilling out once I realized. See, the weird thing is, man, people think that when you start doing martial arts, that you're going, if you're, someone like me, and you're an aggressive person, that you're gonna go out and start picking more fights, and it's
Actually,
not
the
like that.
opposite.
And
It's
it's not even
opposite.
that people pick fights with you; it's that people around you that you're with start thinking that you're like armor for them. So they
Yeah.
get drunk, and then they start going out and being way too overly confident in the way they're talking to complete strangers, thinking, "Hey,
They
I'm with
expect
my
you
boy
to
Words,
jump
and
in.
he's." And I've been in some situations where I've had to watch my boy take an ass kicking because I'm like, I'm not stepping in this. I'm not your fucking protector, bro.
That
You
ain't
know
your
that,
bodyguard, bro. Cut it out.
yo. I've had to, you know, I'm not gonna say who because they're passed away, but someone in this rap shit, I had to have a conversation with them at a big show with a lot of people there where I was a big part of. They're a pretty famous person, and they were going on the mic saying I was going to be their bodyguard and all this shit. And I'm like, you're bringing a lot of real negative attention to me. Like, number one, I'm not going to be your bodyguard. I got love for you, but you got to chill because you're bringing. That's making putting a huge spotlight on me. Like people, oh yeah, you're this guy's bodyguard. Oh, and I felt really uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. I wasn't consulted, and I had to pull dude aside and say, nah, man, that ain't cool, bro. You can't. I'm not your personal bodyguard. You want to pay me to do that? um
That's different. Yeah.
and that's what I started realizing is people would use their relationship with me or their friendship with me or even just knowing me and be a lot more cool with me so that they could almost be on my good side and then go out and act like an asshole and maybe hoping that they get to watch me fuck someone up for them. And I don't do that. You know what I mean? I've never done that. I've only ever fought anybody in a way that would be Muay Thai esque was when I was protecting a female that I seen being assaulted, and
Hmm.
somebody punched me at a bar, and then they immediately regretted having punched me in that bar. Um, and that's it. I don't like it. I love to. I mean, I love fighting, but I don't like fighting. You know what I mean? Um, so it's not even that I don't. You know what I mean? Like I'm not out there trying to
So
ever.
you ever see Game of Death? It's the art of
Yo.
fighting without fighting.
Which one's Game of Death? That's fucking. Is that Charles Bronson, man?
No, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Bruce
Yeah.
Lee. Okay, okay, okay. I'm thinking Death Wish. I'm thinking Death Wish. My
I
bad.
sampled Death Wish 3. Fucking movie's
Yo.
amazing.
And and shit taught me a lot as far as who I really was before. Because if you ever anybody who's ever gotten into any type of a combat sport who's been in, like and fought before or watched a lot of street fights, the second you're in there and you're watching people who know what they're doing, you realize how ridiculous you've probably looked in every fight you've ever been in your entire life prior to that. Any fight you thought you kicked someone's ass, you're like, yeah, I punched him out, bro. Nah, it was probably like it was probably horrible and looked awful, and you just happen to it humbles you, man, and it really, you know, to be honest, when I walked into the gym for the first time, right, I thought I was a tough guy because I'd done time and I was a scrapper and I had a big ego. And then they sense that shit right away. All right, okay, all right. You think you're, yeah. So they put me to work. It wasn't beat the shit out of me sparring stuff, but they put me to work in a way that sh- showed how little I really had. And I was thinking I was 190 pounds or something at the time. I was all into lifting weights and shit. And, um, and I thought I was something. And I learned in 30 minutes that I wasn't shit. Not only did I not know how to punch or kick or fight at all, but that I had no fucking stamina despite how big I thought I was.
Hmm.
And they do that shit on purpose, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like anything. They don't need that ego in the gym. So they're gonna bring you down to your knees a little bit, and then hopefully you come back. And if you come back, that means you got the message and you got humbled a little bit and you're willing, because the first time you come in, you don't know what you're expecting. So you can go in there with whatever disillusioned fantasy of how things are going to be and how people are going to receive you. And then you go in there, man, and the first time is like, if you're in an authentic Thai gym, they're putting you to work. It doesn't matter whether it's day one or day 127,
So it's
or
the
you've
same.
been there for, it's always the same. You're working hard. And I came back and I came back and I came back and I came back and, took a few sparring sessions of getting beaten up by dudes half my size and sometimes 15 years. I've had some teenagers whoop my ass. I had a teenager in Thailand. He was like 13 years old. Whoop my ass all over the ring, bro. Whoop my ass. Like I almost didn't want to come back because it was so embarrassing.
Well,
But that's
I played Street Fighter 2 a lot. I'd fucking go in there and whoop everybody's ass in that gym, no problem.
Yo, that's where I
I
learned all my
hit,
moves from. When I said I
I
went to
hit him
the
with the
gym, I
tiger
just meant I
knee.
bought Street Fighter for fucking Xbox One and practiced all of the moves,
That's what
bro.
I'm saying. I hit him with the tiger knee. It's curtains, bro. They ain't got nothing for.
Yo, and it's something I encourage, and I think it's something I talk about. I've done a lot of fight related music. It's been a big part of stuff.
Discipline.
But it's funny when people think that I'm out there and that I'm the guy that's going to be the one starting all the problems. And it's generally a drunken idiot who doesn't know
Yep.
anything about anything who's causing that. And it's caused me to not want to go out. I don't go to a lot of shows. If I do, I don't drink. Anybody who says that they've seen me with a bottle of alcohol in my hand at a rap show in the last 10 fucking years is lying to you, because that just has never happened. I'm not comfortable with it. Um, Drunk people are risky. Being in a place surrounded by people, everybody's drunk. You don't know what drugs people are using, and you don't know what mind frame people are. And I learned that it's
Mhm.
best to go and just be sober. And then that way, if something does happen, no one can say that I was a drunk instigator. That's been used a few times. That's been, people scapegoat you like that. It's easy to make me look like I could be a drunken instigator if I have beer on my breath, right? So I avoid all that shit, and my life's been a lot more simple.
They're
You
trying to use
know.
your past against you.
Yeah, man. And
Mhm.
it's most people are fucking cowards, bro. Most people will instigate a fight and talk all that shit and get punched in the face once and
That's
then be
it.
wanting to press charges, saying that this is just, I'm a grown man. I have a family. I have responsibilities and people that rely on me, and I'm not trying to risk that anymore. Some almost situations where you're like, that could have gone a lot worse, or that could have gone very differently. And you got to assess those as you grow older, and and realize that you got way more at risk. I'm the guy. If I'm doing a show, bro, I'm like, there's a few times, man, where motherfuckers have had to wake me up because I'm just asleep. You know what I mean? Or I'm like just drinking coffee, trying to stay awake, because you know doing rap shows used to be exciting when,
Oh, it's the
and
worst, dude.
yeah, it used to be exciting, but you know things have changed to a point where it's not the same experience. So it's not something that's even worth celebrating in a lot of ways. You're there to perform, do what you're getting paid to do, which a lot of promoters don't want to do anymore. They don't want to pay us. So fuck all you pay to play promoters. Suck my fucking dick. If you're a pay to play promoter, you don't have my support, you can fuck off. All of them. Every fucking last one of them. All of them. So they destroyed the artistry. It's gone. It's over. There's no more shows. There's no more decent bills. The pay to play gig. I had somebody try and sell me a slot. Tried to sell me an 11-minute slot. I think it was $850.
The fuck out of here, man.
Yep. And then I'm given tickets that I can then sell to recoup some of my money.
Ugh.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you wouldn't
yeah.
catch me dead at a rap show, man. People, we can
Word.
stand around and watch guys rap over beats with no drums on them. It's like, fuck out of here, man. This ain't a poetry slam.
I think it was the last show I
No
went to was
DJ. There's
the last
there's
show I
never
went to was
DJs
Core
at
Mega.
all.
It was Core Mega, and Ace on Eastwood was opening up.
Hmm.
Hey,
And
son's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there. Anyway, yeah, I went there with a few heads and ended up leaving early. Just like it's not the vibe it used to be, man.
No.
There's no freestyling in the
Well, there's no fans.
everybody's in little groups. Like there used to be, everyone was just in the outside in the smoke area, and everyone was rhyming and beatboxing, and someone was pretend it was, and nobody wanted to. I'm like, yo, let's freestyle. Where's nobody wants to do it anymore because
No, there's no
and
fans. Everybody in that crowd thinks they should be on the
that
stage, man. It's
yo, here's
Yeah.
trash.
here's what it is.
Too
It's
much.
the everything is now broadcast onto social media, and everybody is able to fine tooth comb pick through what they want people to see of them on social media,
I was
and they
just saying, how
want
many
them
people ever show the
and
crowd?
they want to
Never.
see them at their best all the time. In a freestyle, yo, you might get battled on, and then someone might have a video of someone fucking forcing you into a battle, or maybe
Yep.
you try and
Yep.
freestyle and you fuck up and you say something dumb, or you screw up your words or some shit, or maybe
All
someone calls you out for it for. You know, you never know what can happen in the cipher because the cipher is it's gladiator school, bro. Anybody
over.
who grew up in the ciphers, I mean, where you could get snuffed in the fucking mouth for saying the wrong thing, knows the value of it. But these dudes nowadays, they're not part of that. They just want everyone to see them at their best. You know what I mean? The highlight reel version of who they are as an artist. And so the threat of being put into an uncomfortable situation spontaneously is too much of a risk by opening up a cipher for a freestyle cipher. So people don't do it anymore. They'll do it with their two little buddies in a room where they've, you know, but no one's gonna open up to an open cipher in public with 30 fucking people because they might get called out, and then that'll be bad for their brand, right, Vanderslice? Bad for the brand, bro.
Their brand.
Trash. People are fucking
Straight.
garbage.
Yeah, so you know, to all my MCs who still love the cipher, man, hats off to you. You know, it's a rare form to have, you know, to see the cipher open. Now, I see some of it happening in a lot of the New York guys, I think, man, because I think the cultures just thrive so deeply there. You see a lot of the events there where there's a guys ciphering outside, um, and that
Yeah.
shit makes me jealous.
Every once in a
Like,
while.
yeah, yeah,
You
and
know.
I think it's more because you have more confident over here, especially. I mean, I can't speak for say the states. I'm not in the states, but Canada is such a small, not only like not a small group of actually talented enough MCs, but everybody's so spread out from each other in a lot of ways. The competition is just so fierce, man. We don't have like the same unity. People form cliques and stuff, but I'm not talking that. I'm talking about that natural, confident, a bunch of grown ass men. In a lot of ways, man, the hip hop shit is very childlike. It's a
Yeah.
lot of kids in high school still acting like we're in the high school smokers pit. I talk about it in my music, and it's fucking whack. It's mad whack. There's a lot of cowardly men fronting on the gram and fronting through the rap music like there's some alpha male fucking making moves, and they're not. They're cowards.
Yeah. All for views and likes. You know, when the Fat Beat store in New York City had their last week that they before they closed, they had different DJs come through and spin, different people, MCs come and
Yeah.
spit. And out in the street is exactly what was going on, what you're talking about. There was ciphers going on, you know, because
Yo,
the place is small, so only so many people could get up in there, and it was packed. I
and the
tried.
videos that we're able to find of those, because
Mhm.
those were inspirational to guys like me, because again, without such major social media and such easy online access, you had to know people in the culture, and someone would have one of these videos like the old school fat beat ciphers or some of the old raucous ciphers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Or the very, very old fucking Scribble Jam shit before they started selling them all on DVD. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, those were huge to guys like us when we would see them, because it was like we would see that energy and we would just want that, man. I'm like, yo, oh, you hear that? And it's like to that was the goal, was we wanted to go and seek out that real high level hip hop energy and be around other MCs. It didn't make us shy away from wanting to go to be around these these high level MCs, these elite lyricists, it made us want to go find them and join the circle and participate in it with them. And it's the opposite now. Everybody's just trying to clout chase to prove their
Yeah.
value rather than just fucking
True.
showing and proving. Like, just
Yeah.
step in the cipher and rap, motherfucker. Shut up, bro. I don't care how many followers you have. I have 768 followers. I don't give a fuck. I think I'm on Instagram account 5 in the last 5 years now. You know, numbers don't mean shit because it's like, you know what I mean? It's like judging the world champ by a fucking, you know, a local amateur tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to go and show and prove with the best at the highest level. You can pretend, you know, and guard yourself and keep your. It's like fighters that cherry pick their fights.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, a real fighter is just like anyone, anytime. Call me out, let's go.
Yep.
There's none of that.
Come with it. Yeah.
And, right? The fans don't like the cherry picking, and if the fans actually knew how much of what these guys showed them of themselves, their music, who they really are, what they really believe in, and how they act in real life, was all just cherry picked little pieces, and that the version of them that is real and the version of them they get through the music aren't even similar. You know, their heads would explode.
Yeah.
And I think that what Van and I are trying to do is, you know, and at our own detriment, because we know that it's going to cost, you know, everyone's trying to progress and grow and get more followers and get more this and that essentially seems to be the driving force behind the records. Whereas for us, we're like, we don't care if only 10 people hear it, as long as we have the integrity that we sought out to maintain in the way we chose to release it or to give it to the people. And the people that did take it in tell us it was dope. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, that, who knows, man, 10 years from now, that album could just pop back up and all of a sudden fucking end up, one person promotes it and finds it and listens to it and puts it out there. And then all of a sudden everybody wants to hear it, because you never know what could happen with anything. That's, like we talked about, that it's
So
kind
true.
of the beautiful thing of the music. So, you know, as long as we know that the people that listen to it are acknowledging it as what we set out to create, and they are enjoying it, and they feel that we gave them what they deserve to be given as listeners of our particular craft and art and sound, then that's all we could really be happy. That's all we could really ask for. And if money comes, cool, man, then he can buy more stainless steel cookware and I can buy more fucking big bags of protein.
Pretty
You know what I'm
much.
saying?
There you go.
Pretty much, man. We've already decided if we make big bucks, what we're doing with it.
That's what it should be. You got to be prepared.
Yeah, man. He's gonna have the most pimped out stainless steel cookware. Say, yeah, he's gonna have a whole house just for the stainless steel cookware right next to the house that he cooks the food in.
Tiny house. We could build a tiny house out of stainless steel.
with
types of sauces
all
ready.
brand new plumbing.
Yeah, you already know.
Brand new plumbing, bro.
Yep. Vanderslice.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you give us a story from the album, the best album money can buy?
Yo, you see the picture disc? I was the first one doing it. You know what I'm saying? No,
Yep.
dude, that album was hell, man. Like, there's a reason why I haven't done a compilation since. It was fucking like pulling teeth, because that was at the time when I actually had enough resources to do whatever I wanted, and I could call pretty much anybody.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we had a shitty experience with Ghostface. We had a really good experience with Cormega. Cormega came to Philly. He recorded at Stallone's. You know, Scott Stallone. He used to do all my mixes. You know what I'm saying? Back when I could afford it, and back when I would press wax and shit like that, because he's the best engineer in the city. And Cormega came out. That was dope. Blueprint was dope. Slug rapped for me for free, which was incredible. Because I hit Slug because I was gonna do a part 2 with A War. Like, A War and Evidence were in the second one, and me, like, I already had a beat for Slug set aside, and I hit Slug like, yo, my boy A War wants to do a record for my album or whatever. And Slug just asked me, he's like, why aren't we getting Evidence? And I was like, I don't know, you know, we already did a couple joints. I didn't want to bother him. He was like, Phil, he's like, let me handle it. I said, all right, I'll let him handle it. So I sent him the beat. He sent the song back. I was like, yo, this is the shit.
Wow,
It was dope. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I'll never let anybody say a bad word about Slug in my presence ever. And on top of that, he bought, because you know he had the Fifth Element, the store in Minnesota.
Yep.
He bought a 30 box of that album retail. Not even wholesale. He paid me retail for 30 copies. I
Wow.
said, bro,
That's
like I said, man, I love him for that. And then I got to scratch off a couple bucket list items. Like Percy P's my favorite rapper of all time. He was easy to work with. I tried to get Lord Finesse to rap on that,
hmm
but Finesse Finesse is the homie. I can call Finesse, and he wasn't doing it. You know what I'm saying? He's like, nah, man. So he politely declined, which is fine.
hmm
And Blueprint, I paid $500. Like like Rob Victim, my boy Rob hooked that up because I've always been a Blueprint fan. Like I loved Soul Position. The Soul Position EP was really dope. And he did a song for Jake One that was like a storytelling joint, and I wanted something
Yeah.
like that. I was like, I want something like that. And the story he told about where like the thug that was in jail for murder and he gave him a hug. That's why I call it Thugs Need Hugs. That's real shit. Like that really happened to him. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate you putting your life in my music. Like I appreciate that. I've always, that type of shit gets huge respect for me. Like the Gibbs joint we did right after Bugatti Bullet Holes. I sat on that for years. I didn't let anybody hear it.
hmm
That's a gospel beat too. So I mean, like I dropped a gospel beat tape in 2016, 2017, around there. Like so, that's where the Freddie Gibbs shit came from. And Prodigy, like I said, that was like the last piece of the puzzle. And Kathy Anvely, she helped write his cookbook, the prison cookbook. And because she's an author, and she's like one of my closest friends. And I was like, listen, man, I'm not trying to step over the boundaries, but I need to get Prodigy on this record. Let me know what I need to make it happen.
Yeah.
I didn't. I sent her just a bunch of beats. I'm like, look, just go play them. Go play them and get me a fee. You know what I mean? Like I said, it cost a couple G's. It wasn't like it was free, but it wasn't anywhere near. I know what he charges, and it was nowhere near that. It was a handling fee. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he gave Kathy half, which I'm cool with that too. So I sent him some beats. He picked the one, and he picked a couple more because he was like, yo, this shit is dope. So and then like the following Thursday he died. Like literally the
Yo.
following week he fucking died. I'm like, dude,
Wow, man. So he never
Wow.
even got to hear the joint.
no, he heard it because it was
Oh, you
done the
heard it?
next day. Yeah, it was done.
Okay, okay,
I
dope,
got yeah,
dope.
because I talked to Conway before Prodigy. I said, yo, I'm getting P on this shit today, and he was like, yo, just send it through. Because I got him, I paid him like a G for the solo cut. We got the drop on you, and after that was done, I called him like, because again, dude, this is weird. It was 2018. Like, I don't think I emailed anybody. I called everybody. Like, I got all these guys' numbers. I'm just like, yo, man, I got this joint with Prodigy. I'm putting Twin on it. And he was like, yo, just send it through. I'll get it
Yo,
done today.
people get mad. Yo, I'm telling you, there's two types of people you work with as artists, guys. Because I do the same thing. I get everybody's phone number because I feel like I don't want to feel like my whole relationship with someone is predicated on on the internet.
hmm
I don't think
Right.
I don't even think I got Van's number yet though. I don't even think I asked. We just been too many voice notes and shit. But I find people either love it when you call or they absolutely like hate the fact that you call. It's either they're phone guys and they're down to talk and chat, or they just want to text. And I'm just like, when you're talking music and there's like passion in it and you're fired up and you want to talk about this and there's these fucking flames and feelings and shit, you can't convey your feelings through.
Through text, yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got
man. Like
to
literally,
body
Van's like me, and he's up like at crazy hours all the time. So I'm up. I've messaged him at 5 a.m. just like, yo, bro, I just did this song, and you're not gonna. I'm gonna wet this, and then I was feeling this, and I hated it, and he just woke up to crazy ramblings from me and rants at 5 a.m. And sometimes I'm like, oh, he's not gonna see this till later. He's replying to me in 30 seconds, and and we end up going back and forth and being able to communicate what we're trying to do. But I'm a voice noter. I
uh-huh.
send voice notes. Some guys hate that shit, and I'm like, look, man, like we're making music here. How many, like how much passion can be
Right, yeah.
exchanged? Van's the producer. He's not trying to exchange the same passion with me. I'm the one writing the songs and the concepts and the emotional side of it. But he totally was part of the whole process of me sending him fucking wild messages and ranting about how fired up I am about this song and it's gonna be, and that is what I mean when that's another example of why I love doing this
with
with
one
one
producer.
producer,
Yeah.
because we're going through a process together. Like there's an experience there, man. There's a bond that's connected if you're really making a record. That there's a couple guys I won't work with probably again that I made music with, just because it wasn't. We made good songs, like they're dope songs, but the connection wasn't there. Like it wasn't an experience to make the record with them. We were just kind of felt like I was just rapping on beats, not like creating songs with another artist, So yeah, Van and I definitely had that. And trying to trying to keep as much of the discussion, where you could hear the fire in my voice. I wanted him to hear like how fired up I was, you know and
Vibe
hopefully
with each
that
other
had
like
the
that.
effect of my excitement, hopefully, helped keep his excitement up. You know what I mean? Because there was
Yeah.
times he was really fired up about the album, and he was like, and I was like kind of wondering, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yo, man, I'm listening to these mixes and these songs sound really good. And then boom, I'm fucking back up here again. You know what I mean? And so it's like creating these things. One day these will be all this is all we'll have is the memories. If Alzheimer's hasn't fucking rendered us, turned our brains to scrambled eggs, all we'll have is going back on these experiences. And I hope I'm able to listen to these and still like have good things to say about Eric Vanderslice. I
Yeah.
made it funny. Come on, bro.
Definitely will.
He's on. I think he's off. I think he's watching Monday Night Raw right now.
It might be. We're about to wrap it up. Again,
I had my mic muted. I was whatever. I had my mic muted. I was fucking with my keyboard. No,
what?
like and to wrap it up, but like as far as like the best album money can buy, like I had no connection to it. Like it was such a fucking headache getting these people in line to do shit outside of the, like I said, outside of like the three or good experiences I had. The rest of it was a nightmare. Like, dude, Ghostface is a fucking dick. Yeah, we went to Staten Island with a bag full of cash and did two songs. And did two songs with him. And he was he said some bullshit like, yeah, he said, I'm doing you guys a favor. And I just looked at him, well, then don't do it. I don't give a fuck. Like, yo, you ain't moving my needle. You know what I'm saying? Hey, like, you're going to promote the shit. Dude, we were in fucking, it was me, my boy Ward, Jojo Pellegrino, and whoever the engineer. We were in his living room, dude. We were going to jump him. Like,
Yo, JoJo's one of the fucking dopest out there right now, bro.
Yeah.
I've had a couple brief talks with JoJo. I don't know you fuck with JoJo. He's fucking crazy with it. His lyricism's
He's
next level. Unique as
yeah,
fuck.
he hooked the whole Ghostface shit up. He called it. He
right.
called. He's like, yo, I'm in Staten Island. All right, we'll be out there. Yeah, Ghostface is a dick. I tell him, and I don't care. Like I don't give a fuck. I say it anytime it comes up, I say the same thing. I was
At
just like,
one,
yo, then don't do it. I don't care. Like I was like, yeah, I don't care. You know what I mean? I put that bread right back in my pocket. I couldn't care less.
yeah. Sometimes you don't want to meet some of these artists.
Nah, that's for
Yeah,
real.
you are.
Yeah, man. I mean, I won't. I've definitely had a couple of shitty experiences. I mean, it's funny because a couple of the guys that I thought would be assholes turned out to be like actually really really cool guys, and we had some great conversations, and I've even formed some good friendships over the years with some of them. And then some of the guys that I thought would be chill and more like, yeah, we're just like egomaniacal fucking lunatics and shit. So
Dude, Styles P was the best. We went
I've
to
heard nothing but good
Yonkers.
things about Styles P, bro. I've
Yeah.
never,
Dude,
I
All
don't.
the time.
we went to Yonkers to his juice bar to meet him because he did a joint with A War, and then he did the joint for me with Uti the Real. He did that for free. He mentioned my name in the verse too, man. Shout out to Styles P. And we went out there, man. He was like, it's like hanging out with like an uncle who's just a generation older than. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't an old man, but he was older than me, and I could relate to what he was talking about.
Uh-huh.
And it was just dope, man. He was so welcoming, man. Like, yo, free juice. And then we went to the studio. It's like you can't just walk again. That's another spot. You can't just walk in D Block Studios. You know what I'm saying? It's like
So
they rented. It was like a loft space, like right out. It was right across the bridge. Right, it's fucking weird, man. It was pretty surreal. He's giving me health tips and shit. Cause back then I was like 485 pounds. That was right before I had a heart attack too.
He's invested in a bunch of Styles is invested in a bunch of like different health products and
Oh,
shit. It's
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he
like his
helped
own
me.
health line and
He
shit,
helped
right?
me out because
yeah.
I'm down to 290 now. So I'm chilling.
That's great, man. That's great. It's crazy you mentioned Jojo Pellegrino because shortly after my accident in 2022, one of the physical therapy locations I was going to, he was also going there.
Word.
Yo, he's been killing it for. He's been like a name that was only spoken with people who know what time it is for a long time. Like he's mentioned, and it's like people who know how like the dopest. Like back when people were talking about the dopest white boy, one in every 20 people I would talk to would mention Jojo Pellegrino. You know what I mean? And it's weird because like he's been doing it so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's I would put him in the same category as like a spit gems type. You know what I mean? Like he's got this raw flow that's kind of his own. You know what I mean? That is different than other dudes, but very lyrical and sharp and woven. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And I
You
think
get a different
that
style
word
too.
is that's probably the best word that I could use to describe what I look for in a top tier MC is somebody who weaves their rhymes, like their rhymes are woven together very strategically and intricately. And Jojo does that very, very well. He's had different, versions of, different evolutions of his lyricism, man. And I love seeing what he's doing right now. He's
Yeah,
he's using the Instagram thing fully to his advantage to try and highlight that lyricism. You know what I mean? And it's good to
definitely.
good to see. At least the social media has allowed some guys who are like, nah, I'm dope. You need to know I'm dope. A platform to more utilize it to showcase their skills and
Hmm.
say, you know what I mean? Cool. I'm just gonna give you 60-second clips of me fucking rapping until you all can't stand me anymore. Until you've all, you know what I mean? Um, I've had a few people suggest that to me, and then I'm just like, you know what? A lot of other guys are doing that, and I felt that I didn't feel that I was doing it because I wanted to. I was doing it because people were suggesting it to me.
Wanted you to do it. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
you got your own comfort zone and you're doing really well with that. So stick with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, um, yeah. I mean, I guess I got my own way of doing things, and you know, I appreciate the people that kind of connect with how I go about it and what I bring to the table. Vanderslice being one of them. It's an honor to work with him and on such a high level. You know what I mean? So, you know,
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
Words.
give me one more question, man, and I'm out.
Oh, I was going
Yeah,
to wrap up with one more question. All right.
yeah. I
So,
always like to give you the last word. You know what I'm saying? Give me one
yeah.
more question, and then I'm out.
What was making Trendsetter a headache?
No, it took 2 weeks. First
Word.
off, the fact you got both variants, man. Shout out to Matt Diamond. What a shrewd businessman. I love Matt. That literally took 2 weeks. And you know what's whack about that record to me is people don't know that the Trendsetter is a library record. It's a library series
Yep.
from William B. Tanner Library. And if you ever find one, it's the same cover. That's why I use the same cover. Every song on it is 1 minute, and then a 30-second variant, and then a 15-second variant, which is the reason why every song on it is one verse. That's also why we didn't try to gouge the fans. I didn't try to sell them for $50 a piece. They were adequately priced. It was an EP. I wanted to do it on a 7-inch. And Matt would not press the 7-inch. He said, people don't buy 7 inches. We're pressing a record. So we put the instrumentals on the B side.
Hmm.
And I was like, it's designed that way. It's not trying to gouge you because it's only 12 minutes long. Like, that's by design. And it's like, dude, people were so mad. I'm like, yo, I don't know what to tell you, man. If you ever find it, I was like, if you look at the fucking back of the track list, the font is the same, the cover's the same, the
It's not
aesthetic
like,
is the same. I was like, if you ever, I'm telling you, man, if you ever go crate digging and you find a Trendsetter library record, just buy it. Because that's the other thing is all the samples I used are from the same library. It's an entire aesthetic and its entire mood that from start to finish took 2 weeks to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh yeah, yeah. And I love it. First off, I'll go listen to it right now. It dumps. It's an amazing 12 minutes of music. But I'm telling you, I didn't gouge the fans. I didn't try to get $50 for a fucking 12 minutes of music. I didn't do that. That shit was $15, and I think the variant was 25 on
Hmm.
my Bandcamp.
Yep.
That's what like a single would be anyway if someone was to sell a single.
Now, that's what I'm
Yep.
saying.
Yep.
So I
Like
mean,
I was
it's
adamant about.
dang.
Listen, I was adamant about that shit because I was like, it's short, but if you could sit and listen to it in one shot. It goes all the way through. It's great, and
Yeah,
all the MCs delivered. Danielson, G. Perico, who we got. Vic Spencer, Ty Farris wraps it up. That's a Christmas sample. Ty Farris rapped on. Killed it. You know what I'm saying? It's off on one of the Christmas volumes. Because like I had them all. Like that's the other thing. I've the Trendsetter library. There's 74 volumes. I had it 1 through 74. I had them all,
Oh,
and I made that. I made that tape from that. My boy Capo. I don't even think Capo raps anymore. He had a son. He's a carpenter. He's like, man, fuck this shit. I was like, I don't blame you one bit, bro. I love that record. That's one of my favorite things me and Steez ever did, man. Like Green, shout to Green Steez. I had to. He basically retired too. I had to start taking piano lessons to fucking learn how to play the bass. Now I'm good, but
wow.
I took piano lessons all through the pandemic. Always sharpen your sword. You know what I'm saying? Like whether I don't care if you're making beats, rapping, you can always improve. You can always get better. Like I'm not falling off. I'm better now than I've ever been.
that's what I'm saying. It's an evolution. If
Yeah.
you're open to forever changing, there's never being your best. It's I find it's when guys hit a point and like to either just think they're so great they don't have to try anymore, you know what I mean, or they just stop trying. But like as far as growth, it's not like I think my older stuff is whack. It's just not polished, doesn't have the experience behind it, has a lot more like a much more raw, immature version of me. So it's like it's a constant evolution of trying to never never like there's no destination. You never reach the destination. The journey's
Yeah.
forever. It's just always getting better. You're forever a student.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like there's no
Always.
becoming a master. Always a student forever. And you
That's
know,
that
I
mentality.
think I think
Like,
one of the highest compliments I ever received from anybody was from Vegas Seven, the Ronin, who called me. He said, "You're a true student of your craft." And I think from artist to artist, we understand that we're forever students, forever learning, and forever sharpening our swords. So it's like that's uh that's the highest regard because that's all I ever really wanted to be acknowledged for was forever keeping my sword sharp, but
mhm.
being in a class where I can clash swords and spar with the best of the best. Sometimes they'll get the best of me, and sometimes I'll get the best of them. But it's about being around the best. Like you don't. There's a lot of guys who I find don't evolve as MCs or maybe even as producers. I don't know, but because they hang around and they like to be around guys that are either on their level or below them
Mm,
as far as
okay.
the company they keep.
Mm.
And you can't evolve and become like an elite level if you're always surrounding yourself with people that feed your ego, that keep you at the top of the food chain.
You gotta have
You
some
know?
competitiveness.
Listen,
Yeah,
I've always said that if you hang out with bums, you're a bum.
right, right. And I right from young. I mean, even from like when I first started trying to get into hip hop, like actually rapping, being out in the real world and rapping, I wanted to go find all the older dudes. I
You
was
know what I?
18
You
years
know what I
old.
used to tell rappers like real shit. I used to tell rappers like, listen, the longer the longer you hang around amateur night, the longer you're gonna remain amateur night. You can't level up from the. You got to climb the ladder. You don't just
Right.
stare at it.
There's dudes I know who are talented as shit and make dope music, but refuse to step out of the bubble that they've created for themselves where
Yeah.
that's
Ugh.
they're comfortable and they're the star of that show. And I had to sever those contacts because I'm like, sever my not sever the contacts, but sever me, having confidence in working with them or building with them because it's like when you're trying to climb or you're trying to just kind of soar and see where the journey takes you. And they're just like, I'm just going to hang back here where everything's good. And I just kind of know my surroundings. The only option is to either stay back with them or continue on without them. There
True.
is no balance in between, right? So there's some people that probably are upset with me, and they think you've abandoned them, and but because of the bubble mind, they also have a small minded thinking because they don't understand what they're missing out on, or what you know or or what they could have had because they never got it. So it's like part of like moving forward as an artist, and as even just as a grown person, is having to like accept that people are gonna think foul shit about you if you focus on yourself and do what's best for you, and say, hey man, that's not healthy for me, or what you're doing isn't, it's holding me back. And people like to hide in that, oh, you think you're better than me, and it's like, no, I just think that I have higher expectations on what I deserve and where I'm going than you. Doesn't mean I think I'm better than and so watching some really talented guys kind of not cut the mustard and not get as far as I know they have the potential to do it. They're talented enough. It's hard to watch, man.
Mhm.
So, you know, it's part of it's part of that evolution. Forever being a student means not everybody's going to continue participating in the sport. So you have to find new people to clash swords with that are on your level, or you're just going to
Yeah.
get, your swords will get dull. So, shout outs to all my dudes out there and my MCs and artists and everybody who is unwaveringly dedicated themselves to this shit and are always pushing forward no matter how many times they're getting punched in the face on the way. You know what I mean? Takes a different breed to just keep moving forward and saying, I'm gonna do this shit, fuck you all, you know.
That's it. You gotta be driven.
All right, can we
Definitely.
wrap this up? Word's
Yeah.
just giving a presidential
Yeah.
speech over here. He's killing
Yo, I'm
Now, words. I was gonna say yes, definitely. That's true, and that's what can be done in many avenues of life as well. And I definitely appreciate you speaking of this, and also speaking of the vibe that you saying with an MC and a producer for the album, The Path of Broken Glass. Vanderslice, as always, I definitely appreciate finally being able to speak with you. And I know you have
anytime.
many more stories, so the both of you at any time will definitely welcome you back.
yo,
Word up,
appreciate you,
anytime,
man.
bro.
Yo,
Appreciate
all right. Yo, Sleazy, peace out, bro.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go send more fucking presidential speeches to your DM just
Oh,
to get
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do 5 minutes. Yo, 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 yo. That interview
Yo,
was dope.
I got this idea for a song. Anyway, much love to both
All
of
right,
you,
brother.
man. And
All right,
you guys
peace.
take care, man. Peace, guys.
Nine more copies are still left over at Bars Over BS. I
Go
put the
cop
link
that
in the
shit.
comments. Y'all go support. Peace.